dialogue at a very high level. We're still working through what that would look like, when, and of course the final details, so we don't quite have them yet.
But 24 hours later, the Wall Street Journal revealed that for at least the past year, the US has been secretly training Taiwanese maritime forces as China becomes more aggressive towards the island. The defense minister in Taipei said he expects a Chinese invasion no later than 2025. The Nobel Prizes were handed out this week. Tanzanian-born novelist Abdul Razak Gurna became the first African to win the prize for literature. Americans David Julius and Ardem Pataputian won the prize for medicine for discovering how the skin senses heat. And journalists Maria Ressa of the Philippines and Dmitry Muratov of Russia won the Nobel Peace Prize for defending freedom of expression. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN. Facebook had a terrible week. A 6-hour global outage of its main platform, plus Instagram and WhatsApp, was followed by testimony on Capitol Hill from whistleblower Frances Haugen. She said the company has a pernicious influence on society and says Mark Zuckerberg and his fellow executives know it does.
Facebook has repeatedly misled the public about what its own research reveals about the safety of children, the efficacy of its artificial intelligence systems, and its role in spreading divisive and extreme messages. I came forward because I believe that every human being deserves the dignity of the truth. The company's leadership knows how to make Facebook and Instagram safer, but won't make the necessary changes because they have put their astronomical profits before people. Congressional action is needed. They won't solve this crisis without your help.
Mr. Zuckerberg denied all her allegations, but she has thousands of pages of internal documents to back them up. This week on Wall Street, investors will focus on the health of the US consumer, and earnings season gets underway with some of the major banks releasing quarterly figures. With our preview from FSN's business desk in New York, Will Denzelo.
Last week's weaker-than-expected jobs report was further proof that the Delta variant has hurt hiring. Wednesday's Consumer Price Index data will give a further read on inflation. Then Friday's retail sales data will provide insight into the strength of the US consumer. JP Morgan, Bank of America and Goldman Sachs are among the major US banks set to release quarterly figures this week as earnings season kicks into gear.
Stories will be following in the coming week. The annual autumn meetings of the IMF and the World Bank take place in Washington, and the G20 convenes an emergency summit on Afghanistan. Those stories here and on Twitter at Feature Story. And that is the Week in Review from Feature Story News. Simon Marks reporting.
A new trend in offices across the country. More and more people are switching to fetal position desks so that they can curl up in a ball on the floor while they work. Aaron Vaughn has a story.
The human body isn't meant to sit at a desk for 6 or 7 hours. The natural position, especially in the workplace, is to shut down completely, return to a womb-like state, and rock back and forth to soothe yourself.
Fetal position desks, which are even popping up in offices like Google and Facebook, come in a variety of shapes and sizes. Some have adjustable height so you can cower underneath them, while more expensive options include a warm, pulsating blanket for workers to wrap themselves in to feel calm. But many people are making their own.
I've rigged this up so I can type comfortably and my arms won't get tired. Plus, it's got speakers so I can listen to a comforting voice saying shh over and over again.
I've tried a fetal position desk myself, and I can say it's a great way to get through the f***ing day.
Thanks, Aaron. I hate my job.
This is the Onion News Network. Free Talk Live.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Sunday night edition. We are broadcasting on close to 200 radio stations, but we're also online over at freetalklive.com and or some other places too. You can also visit video.freetalklive.com if you want to, tune into the video cameras that we have streaming here. We got 3 or 4 of them showing us. So a bit of a reality TV show mixed in with a radio show, mixed in with a live podcast, mixed in with a call-in show where you can call in and talk about anything that is on your mind. The telephone number is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. If you'd like to join the conversation, take control of the airwaves, talk about whatever is on your mind. In the studio tonight, it is myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
Steve Classic.
And Nikki Sunshine.
Steve Classic has appeared on this show a couple of times. I think you were here for like a half hour, maybe like a week ago, and then like once upon a time you sat in for like a segment. I think
I sat in with Ridley a few months ago.
That's what it was.
But
okay.
I was calling in. I was the caller, Steve, the political refugee from Connecticut.
Right, so you should be familiar to Free Talk Live listeners because you have called in as the political refugee from Connecticut and talked about the activism that you have done.
Yes.
Tell our listeners who might not be familiar about your activism.
My arms are tired. Connecticut.
What, did you just fly in?
No, I actually do have a sign that says my arms are tired. Because
wait, does that go along with the one that I have that says I hate signs?
That one, and also the one the guy behind me can't see anything. That's another good one.
Get out of the way.
I'm protesting protests.
Right.
Down in front. Tell us more, Steve Classic.
Well, let's see. We were at the... we've been doing a lot of activism against our quote-unquote governor, which we call him Jolly Ned in Connecticut, Ned Lamont. He has extended the executive orders to take federal money and keep kids in masks until February 15th of 2022.
What a douche.
He's terrible. He's a scallywag.
Scallywag?
Yeah. But this is a national show.
It is.
Let's not focus on Connecticut. It's terrible. The oppression is awful.
That's
why I'm here tonight, and I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Of course. And you've done activism over the course of your life, right?
Yes.
It's not something
and
new
radio,
for you.
so you can call me the skipper. Or no, you're the skipper.
Yeah,
I'm the professor.
If this were Gilligan's Island, I think that I would have to be the skipper by default, just because I'm the captain, but also I'm the roundest one of us all.
Yes.
Right? So I don't wear the hat, though, so I can't take it off and like whip Gilligan or anything.
We'll get you one.
I mean, look, I don't have to, like, I have an unusually large noggin that's not easy to buy hats for, so if you
I'll
need
make you one.
If you need a measurement later, we can wrap the tape measure around and see what happens.
Those headphones are stretched.
But then you wouldn't really be Gilligan. You'd be Mr. Howell? The professor.
The professor. I think I could probably pull this entire broadcast studio apart and rebuild it.
That's right, because you're a radio nerd, a broadcast guy by like profession. That's your actual day job.
That is, yes.
Nice. And then Nikki, would you be Mrs. Howell? Would you be Marianne, or would you be Ginger?
Ginger. She's my favorite.
Okay. All right.
It's
the
settled.
Movie star it is. So, yeah, just sit right back and you'll hear a tale. I really, really, really want to do a heavy metal cover of the Gilligan's Island theme song. I've had a method, like in my head, I have a, how I want it to sound kind of a thing. I've just never put it down. I haven't found like the right people to get together and do it yet, but perhaps one day. I'm terrible at starting things and never finishing them. Like even right now, audio-wise, as far as like my songs and parodies and just regular songs that are unwritten, like I have so many of those that are half started, half written, that I'll probably only get around to finishing, 10% of all of the ideas that I've ever put together, which is kind of sad. I wish I was much better at finishing things, but
you need a deadline.
I do.
You have to put like it's got to be done by November 1st.
So, Nikki, you brought up a story for show prep today that I also had a version of in show prep. Can you tell us about it?
Louisiana Health Systems to charge employees with unvaccinated partners.
Now, if this is the same thing I'm thinking of, I heard about this where basically if you have insurance through your employer and you want to add your spouse to it so that they're insured as well, if your spouse doesn't get the jab, they're going to charge you something like $200 extra?
Yeah,
like
it's $200.
Per month or whatever your regular payment is?
Yeah, per month.
That's high.
That's a lot.
That's it?
Not,
Come on.
Not only are they high for doing so, that's a high amount for doing so, in my opinion. What do you guys think?
Well, only 200. I mean, make it 500. Make it 600. Make it 1,000.
Why? Do you want people to be uninsured?
Well, how are they going to know?
Well, when they pay the bill or it comes out of their check.
Well, how are they going to trust you, or are they going to?
Most employers deduct your health care from your check.
Right, you pay for your own health care. You think your employer
they may match or they may pay for part of it, or depending on your
that's
employer.
all your money.
But what's going to happen is you're going to get a check if you get paid, let's say, every 2 weeks. One of your checks in any given month is going to be between $200 or, as you apparently want, $600 less.
Yeah, $600-700.
Why would you do that?
$800. I don't know. Because to make it fair, equity.
I detect a hint of sarcasm.
I'm sorry, I'm from Connecticut.
It's Steve Classic's voice. Either that or you really
get
have
him out.
Yeah, we have two other folks in the bullpen here. Penguin, take over.
Where's that? Where's the big cane with the hook that comes out from behind the curtain?
Yeah, exactly. Bonnie, come on, get him out of here.
All right, so tell us about this story, Nikki.
So apparently this is the largest healthcare system in Louisiana. They are set to charge its employees $200 a month if the spouse or domestic partner covered under the health insurance plan is not vaccinated against the coronavirus. NOLA reports. Why it matters. The new rule, which will take effect in 2022, comes as the vast majority of coronavirus patients who end up hospitalized are unvaccinated. I don't know. I mean, maybe they're just saying the majority. Maybe that's the case in Louisiana, but I don't buy it. And they're also counting people who you need to be 2 weeks out of being vaccinated for them to actually consider you a vaccinated person. So say, for example, I got the vaccine and then I got COVID like a week later and I went to the hospital. They would call me unvaccinated even if I was, double dosed, fully vaccinated.
Right. And it goes further with certain places. If you didn't get the booster now, you're also considered unvaccinated.
Yeah, so three people yelling at the two shot people.
Right. So, people who've had all 3 shots can look down on the people who've only had 2 and be like, we are better than you.
I know they're already starting that, but I don't know if that's actually... If people actually need to do that, if the CDC is actually recommending that.
Not as far as laws are concerned, but there are, I think, airlines that are requiring that for
triple vaccination.
For that, I believe there are, and maybe not in the U.S., but I believe I've read that. But also, I read something, and I didn't bring this in for show prep, but I read something about the police. Oh no, I think it was Ian who mentioned it on last night's show. Something like half of the police are not vaccinated.
Yeah, and I know there's a big thing in Massachusetts about the state police. A bunch of them are quitting because they just don't even want to deal with it. They're just walking out. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yep.
I mean, if
that's a win-win.
If there's a silver lining in all this,
I know, right?
COVID craziness, it's that police are quitting because they're like, I've had enough of this crap.
Yeah.
This is just BS.
Less cops, more shots.
Well, more free market anyway. We've seen even through apps like Cell 411, for example, where, a group of people can be friends with each other over this app. And if they need help in an emergency situation, they can be automatically notified if they hit the panic button or if they swipe their, the thumbnail instead of their fingernail or whatever it is. If they're logged into the right place, you can notify your friends.
What?
Who won't come and shoot your dog.
Right.
And also, so piggybacking off of that, one of my friends who lives in Worcester, Massachusetts, she lives in a bad area, Worcester. She was being chased down the street by a man with a knife. This is a true story. Okay. He chased her into her house. She ran in the house, locked the door behind her, called 911 because, what else are you supposed to do in that situation? That was the only thing she knew how to do. And it took them 30 minutes to call back.
Wow.
And then they called back and they were like, do you still want us to send somebody out there? No, at this point, I would already be dead if I needed you.
Should have called 912.
When seconds count, police are only minutes away.
Exactly.
603-283-6160. We'll talk more about this extra charge for the unvaccinated here on Free Talk Live.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. FreePrivateCities.com.
Breaking weather news. Belize is sunny and around 82 degrees every day this week.
What's the forecast for your life? If current politics and economic prospects are cramping your freedom, escape to the tropics. ECI Development has affordable second homes for you to own or rent in Belize and other tropical countries. Places with stable governments and growing economies. Secure your freedom now. To find out more, send an email to ftl@ecidevelopment.com.
When Monster Hunter International discovers one of Isaac Newton's wardstones being auctioned off, they decide to steal it and use it to destroy the Chaos God once and for all. But a mysterious thief upends their plan, and it soon becomes a race against time as something much older and infinitely more evil awakens in the jungles of South America. Monster Hunter Bloodlines by New York Times bestselling author Larry Correia and Baen Books. Visit monsterhunternation.com for more. Free Talk Live.
It's not just zoning rules, it's everything.
It's true.
It's everything.
There's so many rules.
So many laws. You can't possibly know them. It's physically an impossibility to know the laws. You know not to hurt other people. I don't need a law telling me to do that. But the rest of them? Totally inaccessible.
It's true.
It's written in legalese. If you don't have training in reading that crap, it might as well be a foreign language. And as you pointed out, it doesn't matter if you can read it.
I thought I had them dead to rights. And these bureaucrats, they just like, no, we do whatever we want here at the zoning board.
Yeah, that's right.
And you'll kiss our butts.
Peon. Serf.
You'll
slave.
You'll do what we say.
Yeah. Why label them citizens?
Oh.
Why not just call it what it is? You're a serf. You're a slave.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. It is Free Talk Live. What is Free Talk Live, you may be asking, and ask you may? Well, it's a call-in talk radio program that's also broadcast on the internet and over some video streaming, as well as audio streams. And the telephone number is 603-283-6160. If you want to chime in, you don't have to talk about what we're talking about. Talk about whatever's on your mind. It's just fine. That's why we're called Free Talk Live. In the studio, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
Steve Classic.
Nikki.
And
I don't know which way you're pointing, so I said, Steve Classic.
It's always going to go to my left.
Okay,
so,
yeah. All right, I'll get the hang of it.
Yeah,
By 10 o'clock tonight, I'll get it.
You're the noob. It's
10
fine.
Eastern.
Just wait till we get a caller. You're going to have a treat then. That's right.
I'm used to being a caller. The callers make the host look good. That's the job of the. That's the job of the caller. I'm telling you, the job of the caller, folks. The job
I don't know,
of the
man.
make the host look good.
I have a face for radio, so I don't know. There's a lot you can do to make me look good.
Block that camera.
Yeah.
You can try to make us look bad, too. That makes it a little bit more interesting. We actually like that. You can try.
It's true. You know what makes me look good? Bitcoin.com makes me look good because Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. You can go there now and click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you will find all sorts of valuable information neatly organized to suit your needs. There's no longer any excuse to ignore this very important and world-changing information. If you're already a knowledgeable crypto user, you can check out news.bitcoin.com to get the latest headlines of all the news that's relevant to you. Bitcoin.com is your source for everything crypto, like getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all in a very slick and easy-to-use website. Please visit Bitcoin.com. All right. So, Nikki, we were talking about this bit you brought in, some healthcare system insurance company thing, I guess, is charging extra if your spouse or family member or whatever is unvaccinated to the tune of something like $200?
$200 starting in 2022.
Per month.
I don't know if that's in January. I don't know if that's in June. Sometime in 2022.
So $2,400 a year is the penalty.
Yes.
Per person.
Per person.
What if you have children that are under 16?
They're just saying for spouses or partners. So I don't know if that's everybody that's insured on the plan, because on a family plan, I mean, you can have depends how big your family are.
Well,
you can have a ton of kids.
What if you're polyed? You've got like 5 wives or whatever, right?
I guess you're not allowed to legally do that in the United States.
What?
Right?
What, United States?
The land of the
talking
free?
about?
You can't have multiple wives?
Land of the free.
Where's my Utah
I don't know where
Blowback?
you heard that.
You detected my sarcasm. Very well.
Well, anyways.
So tell us more.
Most will likely have to pay their own medical bills, according to the KFF analysis, as insurers won't waive out-of-pocket costs for COVID-19 hospitalizations.
Why does everything have a K in front of it now? ISIS K or Taliban K. K, what is that?
That'd
K
be behind it, wouldn't it?
K? I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be behind it, not in front of it.
All right.
Otherwise,
K.
it'd be K1000.
Special K. Everything's a K. Sorry.
So Ochsner Health which employs nearly 32,000 employees in over 4,500 physicians, calls the policies the spousal COVID vaccine fee, according to a letter Ochsner leaders sent to employees.
I wonder if that company's exempt from their own policy.
Probably, it wouldn't surprise me.
What if your spouse has AIDS? Do they charge more for your spouse? Do they charge $200 a month more for your spouse? What if your spouse has any other disease, any other ailment? You name it. Are they charging, or is this just for COVID?
I don't know. Isn't that normally how insurance works? Normally, wouldn't they? Or is that life insurance and not health insurance? Because I know for some things they will charge more.
Yeah, I don't know. And I
know they use weight, they use BMI, they use all sorts of stuff to try to charge people more.
Yeah, the biggest thing was pre-existing conditions, and there's been some legislation surrounding that. Yeah. If you know the answer to this question, you're listening to this broadcast right now, and it is roughly 7:30 p.m. on Sunday, 603-283-6160. Let's go on with the story.
So Ochsner will add a health insurance surcharge of $100 per pay period, which adds up to the $2,400 yearly from an employee's biweekly paycheck. CEO Warner Thomas says the company spent more than $9 million on COVID-19 care for those covered under its health plans. Thomas said the surcharge will keep health premiums low for employees. I mean...
Right. We're going to charge you more money. We're going to keep it low.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, the COVID-19 vaccinations have been proven to not prevent people from getting COVID.
Right.
And they don't prevent people from spreading COVID.
Correct.
So bold of them to assume that forcing people to get vaccinated is going to keep the premiums low.
This sounds like a case of jumbo shrimp.
Yeah.
A case of military intelligence. Oxymorons is what these are called. And this seems like a really big, heavy thing. And I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I've not heard of any other ailment in which this type of announcement has been made.
Yeah.
I realize that some people are higher risk than other people, et cetera, and so on. But for this particular disease it's not even it doesn't even really register much. It's a blip on the radar of most insurance companies.
Sounds like you're anti-science.
I'm anti-fasci.
Come on, man.
I'm anti-fasci.
The science is settled.
The man who
Science
calls
is settled.
himself
Come
science,
on.
apparently.
Get the Fauci ouchie and save $200.
He might as well just come out on stage and be like, I am the science. Please worship me and all that I say, for I am the great science. I wouldn't be surprised.
All hail the science. All hail the science.
I wouldn't be surprised
Science
if Anthony
denier.
Fauci walked out and said, you're a science denier.
You're
No, I
science
just don't worship the guy.
Probably
okay?
a climate denier, too.
Like, you know.
Come on, man.
Yes, I deny that climate exists. There's no climate. It doesn't exist.
None of this exists. This is all a simulation
Right.
of your imagination.
So they're going to lower your premiums by charging you more. Is that the moral of the story here?
Well, not if you're vaccinated.
Oh, if you're vaccinated, you could save money by, yeah. All right.
But what if I've gotten the COVID and gotten over it before I joined their health plan?
Science
So
denier.
they don't care. And that's the thing. So you can build up a natural immunity to COVID-19.
What?
And doctors have actually said that it works better
It's
than the
a
vaccine.
superior form of protection.
And I mean, it's been proven because you can get the vaccine and still get COVID.
Science denier.
But if you get any disease, you can't get it again. The thing with the common cold and the flu, why people will get, a cold every year or the flu every year, is because they mutate and you can, you get a different form of it every year. Same thing with COVID-19. COVID-19 is a coronavirus. So when you get vaccinated against COVID-19, they're still unsure whether that's going to give you actual immunity or because as this thing is mutating, they're talking about the Delta variant, all different variants, the Doomsday variant. Does that...
The midterm 22 variant.
Yeah, exactly. They're still unsure if the vaccines actually protect people against the new variants.
I have a question I want to ask you, and we can do so in just a bit, about specifically coronavirus vaccines, because I read something. I want your opinion on it.
Sure.
603-283-6160. Do you have an unvaccinated spouse? We'll get ready to pay $200 more for them. More Free Talk Live is coming up.
Free Talk Live's video archives have been on LBRY for years. LBRY is an uncensorable, decentralized, blockchain-based media sharing protocol, and we're big fans of it here on Free Talk Live. In 2020, LBRY launched Odyssey, a video sharing website to compete with YouTube, and it's really taking off. Now with over 1 million channels, many of whom are disaffected YouTube creators. During YouTube's crackdown for not towing the government line on COVID, the Free Talk Live YouTube channel started receiving strikes and could be completely taken down at any moment. Thankfully, Odyssey started offering live streaming, so we're now streaming live every night and posting our video archives permanently to Odyssey. You can watch live or anytime on our Odyssey channel by visiting video.freetalklive.com. If you want to go all in, download the desktop app at lbry.com, and then every video archive you watch, you'll help seed and keep it online forever. At minimum, we ask you visit video.freetalklive.com and follow us on Odyssey today. video.freetalklive.com.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Simon Marks with the Week in Review. And for the second week running, the US stepped back from the brink. Last week it was the government shutdown. This week it temporarily resolved a dispute over the national debt.
Our markets are rattled. America's savings are on the line. The American people, your savings, your pocketbook are directly impacted by this stunt. My Republican friends need to stop playing Russian roulette with the U.S. economy.
President Biden urging Republicans to cooperate and permit a raising of the debt ceiling in order to avoid defaulting on America's borrowings in the middle of the month. Late on Thursday night, Republican leader in the Senate Mitch McConnell announced a deal had been struck to avoid a possible global fiscal crisis.
The Senate is moving toward the plan I laid out yesterday to spare the American people a manufactured crisis.
But the deal is temporary. The issue will be haunting Washington and the world again in December. Britain's governing Conservative Party held its annual conference in Manchester this week, with Prime Minister Boris Johnson vowing to transform the country's economy.
We're not going back to the same old broken model, with low wages, low growth, low skills and low productivity, all of it enabled and assisted by uncontrolled immigration.
FSN's Ollie Barrett with more from our London bureau.
His critics claim he's settled upon this argument recently because of shortages in the labour market and rising prices. They say wages are on the up, partly because people are earning more compared to the peak of the pandemic when millions were on furlough support. and they point out that decades of problems have been presided over to a large extent by Boris Johnson's own Conservative Party.
There was a seeming breakthrough in US relations with China. At a meeting of senior officials in Zurich, an agreement in principle was reached for Presidents Biden and Xi to hold a virtual summit meeting later this year. At the White House, Press Secretary Jen Psaki.
What came out of the discussions was an agreement to continue dialogue at a very high level. We're still working through what that would look like, when, and of course the final details, so we don't quite have them yet.
But 24 hours later, the Wall Street Journal revealed that for at least the past year, the US has been secretly training Taiwanese maritime forces as China becomes more aggressive towards the island. The defense minister in Taipei said he expects a Chinese invasion no later than 2025. The Nobel Prizes were handed out this week. Tanzanian-born novelist Abdul Razak Gurna became the first African to win the prize for literature. Americans David Julius and Ardem Pataputian won the prize for medicine for discovering how the skin senses heat. And journalists Maria Ressa of the Philippines and Dmitry Muratov of Russia won the Nobel Peace Prize for defending freedom of expression. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
Yes, come on and listen to Free Talk Live. Yeah, our telephone number is 603-283-6160, and we'll get to your calls and thoughts momentarily. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain. Joining me,
Steve Classic.
And Nikki.
Nurse Nikki.
Nurse Nikki.
Nurse Nikki, reporting for duty.
Reporting live.
You said duty.
Speaking of dump button.
For too long, the federal government has overstepped its bounds, refusing to abide the Constitution and committing heinous war crimes both abroad and at home. They've destroyed the currency of the land, and they don't seem to care about their routine violations of our rights. Even if that wasn't the case, though, isn't it absurd that people in California and other states thousands of miles away get to determine who rules over you? At nhexit.us, we're trying to change all of that. We've proposed an amendment to the New Hampshire Constitution that would allow New Hampshire to declare its independence from the shenanigans, warmongering, and economic destruction wrought by the United States government. Sign the petition today at nhexit.us. Let's see New Hampshire exit the U.S.
Don't hold back, Captain.
I try not to.
Shenanigans.
Isn't that the name of like a chain restaurant? Like
Yeah.
Or was that in Office Space, the movie? I think.
I don't know.
Oh no, it was Tchotchkes. That's what they called it.
NH Exit.
It was like a Chili's ripoff. Yeah. You had to wear flair apparently if you worked there.
Oh right,
Many
buttons and all that stuff. Yeah.
All right. I want to talk more. I wanted to ask you the question, but I'll ask that in a little bit. Let's go to your calls and thoughts first. We have Bill calling from New Mexico. Bill, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, you asked the question if there was anybody that was in the insurance business that could give you some clarification on that one thing that I can't remember what the medical group was you mentioned that wants to charge an extra $200 a month.
What's the name of the?
It was Ochsner Health was the employer, but they didn't say the specific health insurance company.
Well, it's probably a self-insured plan, that large a company. So let me back up for 2 seconds. The Obamacare rules, the ACA rules, specifically prohibited that kind of behavior and said you couldn't single out any kind of health issues for additional premium with one exception, and that was tobacco use. So you could charge more for tobacco use, but you couldn't charge more for anything else, which suddenly all the insured tobacco users dropped from 15% of the population to almost none because everybody lies about it. But in the big company world, they're mostly on the self-insured plans where it looks like, smells like, feels like insurance. The employee gets a card that says MetLife or somebody, and the claims get paid, but it's really not an insurance plan. They're just providing administrative services. Those are under a different set of law. It's called ERISA. And under the ERISA law, they have a lot more latitude. Now, public sentiment would have frowned on them saying, oh, we're going to charge more for AIDS, or we're going to charge more for unmarried couples, or we're going to charge more for
a harem or whatever, right? Yeah.
Yeah, in the past, but legally, I think they can still do it. As long as they treat all employees exactly the same. That's the big catch with ERISA.
All right. So would this type of a scenario result in, I guess I'm confused. Oh, yeah. Would this type of a scenario where they're allowed to do this, but they're not really an insurance company, would you subscribing to their service qualify as insurance, quote unquote, for tax purposes under the Obamacare?
Well, that's a different issue. The tax piece is an IRS piece.
Yeah.
And the answer is, yeah, it's still qualified health insurance.
Great.
It's legislated under the ERISA rules. Got to be separate plan document. Every company's got to have a separate plan document. They're not part of a pool. Each company is their own pool. And it doesn't really work very well except for really large companies. That's why you don't see it very much in small companies at all.
Okay, Bill, you don't have to answer this, but it sounds like you might have some expertise in this field. Are you like an insurance administrator for a company, or do you work for an insurance company? Are you an insurer yourself?
So I'm like 62, and this is all I've done since I was 20. I'm a health insurance agent.
He's an expert.
Yeah, I've done a lot of this stuff.
Nice. All right. Anything else you want to say while we've got you on the air?
No, but that's your unfortunate clarification. Yeah, I think they can get away with it.
Well, that sucks because, they're going to charge you more, and then also you have to pay a tax if you don't have the insurance. So we know how that goes. Thanks for the call tonight, Bill.
You're welcome.
Good call.
Thanks for the show.
Indeed.
So basically, the employer can hit the dump button on you anytime they want.
And speaking of which, David in New Mexico, can you call us back? Thanks.
Sorry, David.
Yeah, I hit the wrong
Skipper
button.
hit the dump button.
Yeah, Skipper, hasn't been at the controls for a while. He's been, stranded on an uncharted desert isle for years apparently, and doesn't know how to operate the steering wheel of the ship anymore.
He's good with the coconuts, but
I think I think Lovey has made him and Mr. Howell one too many coconut cocktails.
Yes.
Perhaps. This is just tea for those of you watching, playing the home game of Free Talk Live.
It's a fine cup of tea.
It is. It's just regular ass tea.
Wait, hit the dump button.
That's what you think.
Well, you're like, why would you drink ass tea? I wouldn't. It's just there were some fancier teas floating around the studio, and I was like, do you just have some like regular black tea, some
Earl Grey?
That's what I have. I have Earl Grey.
Me too.
Pumpkin spice, and I'm like, no, I don't. Can I just have some tea?
Do you have a latte grande with?
I brought some tea into the studio, so there's just regular tea now. Anyway, we're getting off topic. Let's talk more about your article.
That was it.
That was it?
Nope,
Okay.
that was it. But you did say you had a question for me about COVID-19 vaccines.
I did, but Bill answered it.
Super genius.
Yes.
Okay.
He answered it for me. So
self-insured
thanks for
versus insured.
I got you.
Thanks for having my back, watching my six. I appreciate that.
So it's almost if you insure if your company insures your car and you get into an accident, it's up to the company to pay for your car.
I wonder if other insurance companies can get away with this in the same way.
But it's not insurance.
Well, right, but other entities, like, for example, a motor vehicle insurance company, I wonder if they can get away. Oh, you have a driver in your house that's unvaccinated? That's going to be another $200 a month.
Yeah.
I mean, that wouldn't even make
insurance,
sense,
right?
but stranger things have happened.
Needle pistol permit? Sorry. Not vaccinated. So we're not renewing that.
Or maybe it'll even get as bad as you go to the bar and you pay a vaccinated or an unvaccinated price for your, I don't know, Jameson or your beer or your wine or your cocktail or whatever.
Scotch has just gone up in price.
Oh yeah, happy hour. Women
not
drink,
happy for you.
Women drink free unless you're not vaxxed.
And it's not happy hour.
Ladies' night on Wednesday, and unless you're not vaxxed, then you pay double.
Yeah.
Sounds like sad hour.
Very sad.
Very sad. Very sad.
Sad and pathetic hour. That's an accurate name
Bring
for
your
some
card.
happy hours I've been to, though. Sad and pathetic hour. Now at your local pub. Anyway, all right, so let's move on. We have far more things to talk about. I brought in some show prep today, and I would like to talk about COVID-19 detention camps. Are government roundups of resistors in our future?
What do you mean in our future?
Well, do you think it's going to get so bad that they start rounding up the unvaccinated, sticking them into the
You haven't
FEMA
paid your
camps?
extra $200.
Yeah.
You're coming with me.
Right. Because they are looking to identify these people.
Right.
And they already have the FEMA camps built for
Right.
at least 10 or 20 years. So
Right. And then the recent, we'll say, pseudo-deployment of all of these extra medical facilities,
Yeah.
right, when they rolled ships into both the West Coast and the East Coast ports to act as hospital ships for the overwhelming amount of COVID patients that never materialized, and then they packed up and went home like a circus that didn't sell any tickets. I wonder if it'll get that bad. Anyway, we'll talk about that, whether you're at risk for being rounded up by the government, here on Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160. More coming up.
Hey, you are going to love the movie Victimless Crime Spree. It's hilarious, heartwarming, and carries a ton of inspiring freedom messages. Feeling down about the lack of liberty in your life? You need to put on this film with some friends and have a good laugh. It's a true story about me and my friends in New Hampshire living free, singing, dancing, and getting arrested. Of course, it's all on video, and the bad guys, the cops, judges, bailiffs, and sheriffs, they all play their part like it's out of a movie or something. You would think we scripted the whole thing, but it's real life. Go ahead and have a watch, and if it's been a while, have another look. I guarantee you'll notice things now that you didn't notice before. And the best part is that you're going to walk away feeling a renewed sense of your own power. You are the master of your destiny, and you will be free in your lifetime. Victimless Crime Spree.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Welcome back. The telephone number for you to call in and get your voice heard on air, nationally syndicated talk radio, plus the internet and live video streams, is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. We'll get to your calls and thoughts momentarily. In the studio, it's myself, the captain.
Steve Classic.
And Nurse Nikki.
You say that with
our
such
COVID correspondent.
Yes.
Medical health expert.
Thank you for, being in an industry and, that kind of thing.
Can I ask one thing about that?
I don't know. Can you?
Oh, I'd like to.
Okay, go ahead.
You
Skipper,
may.
can I interject?
You have to ask her.
Nurse Nikki, I have a question.
Okay.
So
you may.
How would this company, the health company, know that your spouse is not vaccinated?
Well, they're probably requiring proof. Like you probably need to
see the
send
little
in your
baseball
card.
ticket?
Yeah.
Okay. And then when they see the little baseball ticket, how are they going to know that you're actually allowed to play the game?
Well, so you're asking if you can tell if it's a fake or not?
Right.
There are corresponding lot numbers to the doses.
And
so you
who-
would have to match up the lot numbers. So I'm not sure exactly how they would do that, but
Oh, they can do it, I'm sure.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's, I don't know if they have a database yet in this country,
Well,
but I know there
what's
are.
that Arabic word for the base? The base. The base. It sound, I'm confusing something.
I do know that most people, because of the law, right, the Obamacare, the law, most people are insured of some kind or another. Most people in the United States. There's a whole bunch of people that aren't insured, of course, but most people are. So all these,
And they have to pay a tax.
All these healthcare insurance companies have to do is go and look in their own database and go, oh, Steve Classic is married to Mrs. Classic, but only Steve got the vaccination. But Mrs. Classic, we don't have a record of her
What if
getting
they
the
spelled
vaccination.
my name wrong? I mean, it's
You know what?
CLASCZ.
They actually have done that before. They put the wrong last name on somebody's COVID-19 vaccination card at
Spelled
the
it wrong
vaccination
or-
clinic. Yeah.
Really?
And they came in for their second dose and they were like, can you guys fix this?
What if your name is something super common like Tim Smith?
From Connecticut.
No, just Tim Smith. Could you use another Tim Smith's card?
In theory, well, your
as
birthday's,
evidence?
Your birthday's on it.
Oh,
They always use at least
What
two
if you're
identifiers.
born on the same day?
I
You're
mean,
twins
that's
with the same
just-
name.
Yeah.
We can continue to talk about that, but let's go to David in New Mexico, whom I hung up on accidentally and was kind enough to call back. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Smooth move, X-Lax.
That's right. I got smoother moves than, let's go on with what you called about, David.
So we want all of our highly esteemed public officials to get full credit for their actions. And so I didn't quite get around to giving full credit last night, and so I want to continue with that.
Who did you
We gave
miss
some
giving credit to?
Well, the honorable Judge John J. Romero Jr.
Wait. What
John
makes
Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt.
His name is my name too. No, what makes a judge honorable in the first place? I never understood why you have to call a judge honorable.
And why are they called officials?
Because they said so, and because they, as children, have insecurities that we now fix for them in our infinite wisdom by sending them to law school and making them esquires, and then by putting them into judge positions and making them honorable.
Wait, what do I have to do to add Esquire to the end of all of my names? The Reverend, Dr., Lord, Captain, Kick-Ass, Esquire. What do I have to do to...
Well, first of all, you have to start out with some childhood insecurities.
Got that.
And fix that. Okay. Fix that by going to law school, like the University of New Mexico Law School.
You did that.
Would gladly help.
All right.
Okay.
And then what?
So, yeah.
Just go to law school. Do I have to pass?
They can help you with that if you're questionable. You see, the way law schools generally work is if you come up with the money to pay them, you generally pass.
Oh.
That's how law school. Yeah, that's how law school works.
How much does it cost?
And then you become. It costs like I don't know, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 on average. But if you don't have the money and if you fit certain criteria that we shouldn't go into.
You're talking per semester, right?
Captain, you can afford it. Do it.
Depends on where you go. You can get a full law school, $20,000-$30,000 per term, but you can get through various law schools for as little as $50,000. There are scholarships available. Remember?
Okay, I have a very pertinent and important question to ask you, David, to this whole topic. Are you ready?
Maybe.
Can I borrow like $50,000 to go to law school?
Yeah, just not for me.
Oh, okay. All right. We've digressed a whole bunch. This judge, you want to give credit to a judge or discredit? What do you want to tell us about this judge?
Well, credit, of course. I always work from the positive. So the Honorable Judge John J. Romero Jr. didn't get his full credit last night alongside his colleague, Judge M. Monica Zamora. When I described last night how finding in the court record that Kurt, K-U-R-T, Elich, E-L-I-C-H, I found in the court record, had committed 5 different crimes, one of them a felony assault, battery, and sexual attack on a child and a child's mother that I happen to be related to in some form.
Okay.
But anyway, I described those events and attributed it to where M. Monica Zamora decided to take the child that was beaten up out of my protection and put him in the protection of this Kurt Elich, who then was convicted of battery against household members when he attacked my child and my child's mother. But I failed to give full credit, in addition to M. Monica Zamora, I failed to give credit last night to Judge John J. Romero Jr., the Honorable, and he deserves credit too, because when I won at the Court of Appeals saying that M. Monica Zamora had illegally trafficked my children to Kurt Elich, it was remanded to the Children's Court where Judge John J. Romero Jr. was now presiding over my case.
Right.
Judge John J. Romero Jr. never did anything to reunite me. In fact, he threw roadblocks in the process of reuniting me with my children, and let my child live in the household of Kurt Elich for another number of years until Kurt Elich beat up my son, and then Kurt Elich was forced to move out and get divorced and all that stuff. But we forgot to give credit to Judge John J. Romero Jr. in his infinite wisdom of leaving my child with Mr. Elich for all those good years until Elich beat him up. But I wanted to make sure
physically
that
beat him up,
J.
right? Like physical assault, you're talking, right? He said he beat him up.
That's what battery was or is. He committed an assault and a battery against my son, as per the court records that we looked at yesterday evening. And so, yes, he beat up my son according to the legal definition of battery.
I just want to make sure people who haven't heard your story before have it straight, because folks who have heard your story might be like, "Oh, it's David calling again." Right, but I don't want to discount your story. Your story sucks. Like, I don't want anybody to be in your position ever. And hence, we have you on the air, of course, to tell us more and keep us updated with this. But there are folks who, of course, haven't heard your story yet, and I want them to be fully aware of the extent of the abuse that happened.
Yeah, there was 5 charges, one of them felony. There was 3 of them were battery, one was assault, and another one was sexual assault, all in one drunken evening by Mr. Elich, and upon children, including children. So that's what judges in their infinite wisdom had arranged for, and I fought for the last 14 years to avoid that happening, but I'm not as wise as Judge John J. Romero Jr. or M. Monica Zamora, and so I was not able to prevent that attack from happening on my son, and so
is there any hope for you to actually get your kids, since the rulings seem to favor you, but the action doesn't coincide with the favor?
Well, the short answer would probably be no, because they are shortly to be adults and they can do whatever they damn well please. And adults don't generally say, hey, I'm going to move in with my parents. They generally say the opposite. And so what Judge John J. Romero Jr. and M. Monica Zamora have accomplished here is, in most cases, they have established a permanent alienation between child and parent, which means we've dealt with the last 15 years, but now we'll deal with the next decades where there is no relationship between parent and child. So good job, judges.
Hey, thanks for the call, David. Keep us updated with your situation, and don't call me shortly. This is Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160. Hour number 2 is coming up.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it.
Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Jagruti Dave. China has slammed a speech made by Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen, saying it incited confrontation. President Tsai vowed the island will not bow to pressure from Beijing over reunification. Beijing views Taiwan as part of its own territory, and President Tsai's comments come after one of the most tense weeks between the two sides in decades. Patrick Falk reports from Beijing.
Well, President Tsai's message was not just aimed at the people of Taiwan, but you might say it was directed at President Xi Jinping specifically as well. She said that Taiwan would bolster its national defenses and it wouldn't accept the path that China had offered it because that path offered neither freedom nor democracy. A lot of people might say that was really in direct response to everything really that's happened over the last week or so. You know, first of all, we had the series of massive incursions into Taiwan's airspace, and then that followed the remarks by President Xi Jinping, the contrasting comments that he made, saying that peaceful reunification would be in the best interest of the people of Taiwan.
Australia's largest city, Sydney, has emerged from almost 4 months of coronavirus lockdown, which was imposed to curb the spread of the Delta variant of COVID-19. The state of New South Wales has reached its target of fully vaccinating 70% of over 16s. State Premier Dominic Perrottet urged for a cautious return to normal life, with health experts fearing that reopening could also trigger a rise in COVID-19 cases. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison is also in talks with Dominic Perrottet about his plans to speed up the start of international travel into New South Wales. A US Navy engineer and his wife have been charged with attempting to sell secrets about American nuclear reactors to a foreign government, according to a statement from the US Department of Justice. Julia Sun reports from New York.
42-year-old Jonathan Toby is a nuclear engineer in the U.S. Navy. The Justice Department says he and his wife Diana are both in custody. The couple has been accused of devising, quote, a plot to transmit information relating to the design of American nuclear submarines to a foreign nation, U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland said in a statement. One of the allegations against them is that they placed restricted information on an SD card, which they concealed in a half peanut butter sandwich at a dead drop location in June this year. They believed they were communicating with a foreign representative, but in reality, it was an undercover FBI agent. The DOJ said there was a second exchange in August, and the couple was paid $100,000 in cryptocurrency.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. The annual autumn meetings of the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank take place this week, and once again, Washington, home to their headquarters, is serving as host. But this year, it's a Washington questioning its own ability to lead on the world stage. Just last week, the country narrowly avoided defaulting on its debts. The week before that, it narrowly avoided a government shutdown. And that leaves some US analysts of international affairs worried about the trajectory their own nation is on.
There are great concerns around the world about the competence of the United States.
Jim Lindsay is with the New York-based Council on Foreign Relations and says the US will be hard-pressed to lead by example at this week's meetings.
The Biden administration is fond of talking about how America is back. But I think for people in many foreign capitals, the America that is back is not one that they recognize. It is no longer the can-do country. And they worry that the United States is a country that has effectively become dysfunctional. The president says he is going to do something on behalf of the United States. Can he actually follow through?
The president insists American credibility is returning, but week after week he's battling to deliver on his own priorities. And with Donald Trump hitting the campaign trail only this past weekend, some international leaders may be keeping a close eye over the president's shoulder. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main headlines again. China has slammed a speech made by Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen, saying it incited confrontation. Australia's largest city, Sydney, has emerged from almost 4 months of coronavirus lockdown. And a US Navy engineer and his wife have been charged with attempting to sell secrets about American nuclear reactors to a foreign government, according to the US Department of Justice. And that is the latest from Feature Story News. I'm Jagruti Dave in Washington.
According to a groundbreaking study on anxiety disorders published this week in the New England Journal of Medicine, researchers have discovered that feelings of anxiety can be completely resolved as long as people think about them real hard.
After studying subjects with mild to chronic anxiety disorders, we found that the best way to overcome mental stress is to isolate the root of the anxiety, analyze it from every possible angle, and then think about it nonstop. until it completely disappears.
Researchers worked with numerous subjects in the middle of high-stress scenarios and said the key to overcoming anxiety is to start by focusing on a minor problem, list everything that can go wrong in the worst-case scenario, and then repeat that list in your head 200 times. After anywhere between 3 to 6 hours of perpetually torturing yourself over things outside of your control, all feelings of anxiety will completely disappear, and you can finally enjoy the remainder of your day.
This is the Onion News Network. Free Talk Live.
It's free, it's talk, and, well, it's live. What should we call a program where all those three ingredients are thrown into a blender?
Free Talk Live.
That's a good idea. Yes, it is Free Talk Live. 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. If you'd like to join us, talk about whatever's on your mind. We have someone on hold right now. We'll get to that in a moment. Tonight, I'm your host, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
Steve Classic.
And Nikki.
What were we talking about before the break?
We were talking about keeping the microphones open during the breaks.
No, before the break.
No, we were talking about
granting
that in the
you
break.
an Esquire.
Oh, yeah. How do I get an Esquire? Apparently,
I now grant you
50 grand.
an Esquire.
Can I have an honorary escortship? Escort?
Now you do. Well, we just did it. So
Esquire, I don't know what you call it.
On the internet, when they ask you to fill something out, I always put doctor.
yeah, like if you need to do like Mr.
I
or
always
Mrs.
I always put doctor.
And that way
the
you know,
prefix, that's what it's
and that
called.
way you know when the telemarketers are calling because they're like, "Oh yeah, could I speak to Dr. Steve, please?
Dr. Galactic,
Dr. Lord Reverend Kickass,
Esquire,
Dr. Classic,
Dr. Reverend."
All right, well, if we're
Esquire.
just going to sit here and do this, we might as well go to the phones. Let's go to Jet, who's calling from Kentucky. Jet, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, hi. You know that one of my God-given commissions is to help people escape this fantasy land we live in of a dual-class society or a two-class society.
Mm.
And, of course, one of the things that I emphasize in helping them out of this is that people with titles, whether they have titles or badges or robes or other costumes or have offices in big buildings with pillars and lots of stairs, that they're just other humans who really have, in reality, out of this fantasy land, have no special rights or privileges to do pretty much anything they do as far as with regard to ruling over other people. So what I like to do is just create a little sentence, a little poem, that goes, people with titles have no more rights or privileges than you or I. And you can change that from titles to, like I said, to badges or to robes or to costumes.
Wait, is that the extent of the poem? One sentence?
That's a limerick, I think.
That's okay.
No, it's not a limerick.
It's not enough for me to make a verse out of.
See, you can do the same verse over and over and over again.
Oh, you want me to do rock and roll?
Yeah.
I do know three chords, so.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what I wanted you to do was, see, anybody who calls in and talks or mentions anything that separates us into two classes, I would just love it if you guys would correct them and say, you know what, we're all humans, we're all just people. Explain to me how anyone has a right to say what I or you or anyone does or must do or this kind of thing. See, I've lived in this for a long time. Of course, I mentioned before that I've avoided things like income taxes and other. I just try to stay away from these people as much as possible because honestly, when you think about it, they are absolutely mentally ill. I mean, for someone to honestly believe that because they have now somehow your neighbor has gained a title, that somehow now they have rulership over you that they didn't have last week. I mean, that to me is a type of a level of insanity that I could never deal with. But That's the essence of my call.
Excellent point, Jet.
To repeat that over and over again. People with titles have no more right or privilege than you or I.
And as such, and thanks for the call, Jet, we appreciate it. As such, none of my titles mean anything.
Not even the Esquire?
Not even the Esquire.
The future Esquire?
Not even the future Esquire.
Come on, man.
Yeah. They don't mean anything. It's a parody, it's a pastiche, if you will, of exactly what Jet is saying, which is a whole bunch of titles.
Right. If you can make fun of yourself and have a little fun at it.
I would throw Judge.
Ego,
I would throw Judge in front of it, so like the Honorable Lord Dr. Reverend Captain Kickass Esquire, if you will. Right, Judge, yeah, you're
Judge and
honorable,
jury.
right?
The honorable,
yeah,
and jury.
All right. So previously on Free Talk Live, which is 2 segments ago, so about a half hour ago, I began to mention COVID-19 detention camps. Are government roundups of resistors in our future?
And I question the future.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be. I think it's happening now.
Does the future answer you back
when
they
say it's the future? It already is the future.
So
you were just saying that in the past, so it could be happening.
I
thought
maybe you thought the future, or maybe you knew a guy named the Future.
It's going to happen in the
maybe
future.
Maybe a WWE
which now
guy
is the future.
Who's his name is
the
wrestling
future.
The Future, and you're like, I question the future.
Yes, I know about that.
Okay, all right. I don't know. We'll find out. This starts off with a quote from Albert Speer. No doubt concentration camps were a menace used to keep order, quote unquote. That was Albert Speer during the Nuremberg trials. This article is from Rutherford.org, and it's written by John W. Whitehead and Nisha Whitehead, the founders of Rutherford.org.
Esquire.
They are a legal team, so these are
these
lawyers
are Esquires, yes.
who are writing this stuff. It's no longer a question of whether the government will lock up Americans for defying its mandates, but when. This is what we know. The government has the means, the muscle, and the motivation to detain individuals who resist its orders and do not comply with its mandates in a vast array of prisons, detention centers, and FEMA concentration camps paid for with taxpayer dollars. It's just a matter of time. It no longer matters what the hot button issue might be. Vaccine mandates, immigration, gun rights, abortion, same-sex marriage, health care, criticizing the government, protesting election results, etc., etc., etc. And it doesn't matter which party is wielding the power like a hammer. The groundwork has already been laid. Under the indefinite detention provision of the National Defense Authorization Act, also known as the NDAA, the president and the military can detain and imprison American citizens with no access to friends, family, or the courts if the government believes them to be a terrorist.
Domestic terrorist.
A terrorist.
Well, why do you think they're emptying out Guantanamo Bay? Making room for those parents.
Well, and passing all these new and weird laws. They like to interchange, and I think this article goes into it, they like to interchange extremist.
Extremist.
With terrorist.
Terrorist.
And that gives people, if the government accuses you of being an extremist, people immediately go, he's a terrorist because they called him an extremist.
Little do they know that the government are the real extremists.
And terrorists.
And terrorists.
By the way.
Yeah.
So it should come as no surprise that merely criticizing the government or objecting to a COVID-19 vaccine could get you labeled as a terrorist. After all, it doesn't take much to be considered a terrorist anymore, especially given that the government likes to use the words anti-government, extremist, and terrorist interchangeably. For instance, the Department of Homeland Security broadly defines extremists as individuals, military veterans, and groups that are mainly anti-government, rejecting federal authority in favor of state or local authority, or rejecting government authority entirely.
Wait, let's rewind a minute. They're calling military veterans terrorists?
If you go to a school board meeting, you are a terrorist.
So they like to use these terms interchangeably. So this particular paragraph states, The Department of Homeland Security broadly defines extremists.
Okay, so they're calling them extremists.
Extremists, individuals, military veterans, and groups that are mainly anti-government, rejecting federal authority in favor of state or local authority, or rejecting government authority entirely.
The terrorist here will have to take a break after this.
I'm extreme because I don't want the world's largest terrorist to exist.
Well, if that makes me an extremist, then I guess so be it.
Extremists.
More Free Talk Live coming up.
Breaking weather news. Belize is sunny and around 82 degrees every day this week.
What's the forecast for your life? If current politics and economic prospects are cramping your freedom, escape to the tropics. ECI Development has affordable second homes for you to own or rent in Belize and other tropical countries. Places with stable governments and growing economies. Secure your freedom now. To find out more, send an email to ftl@ecidevelopment.com.
After a devastating war, the alien visitors were driven back, and their willing human collaborators were left behind to face the music. When Emma Jean Anderson's ex-lover brings her from prison, Nathan Foster and his 14-year-old nephew Ben are tasked with bringing the pair to justice. An easy enough job until they discover something is inside Emma Jean, and the fate of the planet hangs in the balance. The Family Business by Mike Coopery from BaneBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. It's Bitcoin.com. Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Free speech is protected on the internet, right? Not always. Government agencies try to limit free speech and commerce on the net. Luckily, when they do, the Institute for Justice is there to defend your First Amendment right to free speech. IJ helped set the first federal precedent for internet free speech in 1999, and ever since has worked to prevent unconstitutional roadblocks in cyberspace. Visit our website today at ij.org.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip that started from this tropic port aboard a live call-in radio talk show.
All aboard.
Ship.
I am your captain. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the captain speaking. You are listening to Free Talk Live. The telephone number here in the studio, if you'd like to join us and have some fun on air, is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. Joining me in the studio, it's...
the professor, Steve Classic.
And Nikki.
Not gonna.
AKA Ginger.
Okay, all right. Just want to keep the... we could probably drop the Gilligan's Island bit. It was fun.
Come on,
lasted.
Skipper.
Skipper!
Little buddy. He was the original Homer.
He was the original Homer. Laurel and Hardy,
right.
all those.
Oh, I guess you can go back even further.
Yeah. Well, bring me another coconut cocktail.
Yes. Where's my suitcase full of money?
What was that guy's name? Mr.
Thurston Howell III.
Right, but
Thurston.
Jim Backus.
Oh, Jim Backus.
He was also the voice of
Magoo.
Mr. Magoo. Yes, thank you.
Yes.
All right, so we've been talking about this article from Rutherford.org, which seems to say that the infrastructure is already in place for governments, particularly the U.S. government, to begin rounding people up who, don't obey the mandates or don't get vaccinated. And furthermore, claiming that it's not a question of if, but more a question of when. They've given some examples of some of the things written in the NDAA, and they go on to say it should come as no surprise that merely criticizing the government or objecting to a COVID-19 vaccine could get you labeled as a terrorist.
Could.
Yes.
Would? Should?
Probably
Will.
Likely does, I'm thinking, at this point in space and time.
I mean, if I can interject from my Connecticut perspective, the California of the East Coast, just 100 miles south of here, they've closed 3 state prisons in Connecticut because of low attendance. I don't know what you would call it.
I like it when prisons close. I mean,
but they also just awarded the Summers prison a $7 million contract to repaint it and redo all the insides. So why would you redo all of the insides and the plumbing and electrical and all that
nobody's
if you're closing
here.
it?
Yeah, nobody's here. We're going to close. Let's remodel.
They must be doing a remodeling for something.
There's a particular shade of taupe that I really want to see on these walls.
Yes. So that's happening in Connecticut. Again, is it a conspiracy theory? Maybe it is.
Well,
maybe it's not. I don't know.
I mean,
coincidence?
Government, technically, the organization, is a conspiracy.
You are correct.
So if you just theorize that the, the government, if you question, is the government doing things wrong? Well, the answer to that, empirically, the data, overwhelmingly, if you just observe the data, overwhelmingly, orders of magnitude says absolutely government does. It really doesn't do anything right unless your goal is to oppress people, steal their money, and kill a bunch of them.
Whoa. Watch it. You may be going to a FEMA camp. With that type of rhetoric.
I might be an extremist.
Extremist.
Esquire, if you will. So the article continues.
Captain continues. After all, it doesn't take much to be considered a terrorist or an extremist. For instance, the Department of Homeland Security broadly defines extremists as... we already went through that. If you believe in and exercise your rights under the Constitution, namely your right to speak freely, worship freely, associate with like-minded individuals who share your political views, criticize the government, own a weapon, demand a warrant before being questioned or searched, or any other activity viewed as potentially anti-government, racist, bigoted, anarchic, or sovereign, you could be at the very top of the government's terrorism watch list.
Wasn't half of that the whole point of the creation of this country?
Yeah.
Sounds
to
like
have freedom of speech and freedom to worship
and associate with like-minded individuals who share your political views, criticize the government, own a weapon.
But now it makes you a domestic terrorist? This sounds a little fishy.
Domestic terrorist sounds like a woman in the 50s wearing the apron and she's in the kitchen.
Yeah,
domestic. She's a domestic terrorist.
She's with a 1911 in her apron.
That would be funny.
Domesticated.
I'm thinking of an all-girl punk rock band called the Domestic Terrorists, and they're all dressed up in the 50s outfit but then they have like the AK or the, whatever, the M16, the machine guns on them.
With strings that they can play.
They make guitars that are like the gun, but they're like strung up like a guitar.
You can be the manager for that band.
I could.
Captain continues.
Moreover, as a New York Times editorial warns, you may be an anti-government extremist, a.k.a. domestic terrorist, in the eyes of the police if you are afraid that government is plotting to confiscate your firearms.
Confiscate your firearms.
Because everybody knows that firearms should only be put in the hands of government.
Whoa, guys. What do you need firearms for? We have the police.
Back the blue, baby. Back the blue.
Yeah, I don't really like those guys. They're a crappy band.
Sting just turned 70. Come on.
Roxanne.
It's over.
I named
Message
my
in
car
a bottle.
after a police song.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which one?
Roxanne.
Oh, it is Roxanne.
You don't have to put on the red light.
Thank you. I was going with Message in a Bottle.
It's a good one.
Anyway.
I like the police. Not the band, not the gang.
This is one of the reasons why I don't like the band.
Not the gang.
This is one of the reasons I don't like the band is because they could have the greatest music ever. Their name sucks.
They just chose the wrong name for the band. Yeah.
Pick another name, guys. I wonder if they can retroactive their name, like, okay, well, all of our albums now are called,
remastered under a different
Private
moniker,
Security, right? They all turn ANCAP suddenly. Yes, we're now called Private Security. Moreover, as the New York editorial warns, you can be labeled a whole bunch of stuffs if you believe the economy is about to collapse, or that government will soon declare martial law, or they already declared martial law. They just didn't call it martial law when they locked everybody down for COVID. The only thing missing was tanks in the streets, man.
Well, they had that in Washington, D.C., didn't they?
Yeah,
and I know on January 6th, I know in Hartford, Connecticut, they had, those MRATs or whatever, the National Guard with their little tanks and all that out there scaring people.
Or you could be labeled an extremist, a terrorist, or whatever any of these words that they're using if you display an unusual number of political or ideological bumper stickers on your car.
Bumper stickers, bumper stickers, bumper stickers.
That guy's got too many bumper stickers.
He
must be a terrorist. Like which one? Oh, if you're watching, if you're playing
LRN.FM.
If you're playing the home game, then you're watching video.freetalklive.com, our Odyssey channel, or any of our other video streams that we've got going on. Classic Steve
Classic with a CZ,
yes. was lifting up an LRN.FM bumper sticker that he will probably display as an extremist on his vehicle. So
I have room.
According to the FBI, you might also be classified as a domestic terrorist threat if you espouse conspiracy theories or dare to subscribe to any views that are contrary to the government's.
Or if you call 603-283-6160.
If you would like to be outed as a terrorist, please dial 603-283-6160 and tell us all about it here on Free Talk Live. It's the Sunday night edition. More is on the way.
If you want to bring more liberty into your community, there's something you should see. Intercoin, the movement you might want to join. If you like Bitcoin, break through. It's true. It's truly something new. If you'd like to see real prosperity, start your own currency, boost the economy. Intercoin, the movement you might want to join. If you like Bitcoin, its impact's hard to overstate, results you can appreciate. If you're tired of relying on the state, want to make your own community great, homelessness and hunger to eliminate, let the wealth accumulate. Don't wait for the growth rate to accelerate. Go to intercoin.org and get the coins for yourself.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Jagruti Dave. China has slammed a speech made by Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen, saying it incited confrontation. President Tsai vowed the island will not bow to pressure from Beijing over reunification. Beijing views Taiwan as part of its own territory, and President Tsai's comments come after one of the most tense weeks between the two sides in decades. Patrick Falk reports from Beijing.
Well, President Tsai's message was not just aimed at the people of Taiwan, but you might say it was directed at President Xi Jinping specifically as well. She said that Taiwan would bolster its national defenses and it wouldn't accept the path that China had offered it, because that path offered neither freedom nor democracy. A lot of people might say that was really in direct response to everything really that's happened over the last week or so. You know, first of all, we had the series of massive incursions into Taiwan's airspace, and then that followed the remarks by President Xi Jinping, the contrasting comments that he made, saying that peaceful reunification would be in the best interests of the people of Taiwan.
Australia's largest city, Sydney, has emerged from almost 4 months of coronavirus lockdown, which was imposed to curb the spread of the Delta variant of COVID-19. The state of New South Wales has reached its target of fully vaccinating 70% of over 16s. State Premier Dominic Perrottet urged for a cautious return to normal life, with health experts fearing that reopening could also trigger a rise in COVID-19 cases. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison is also in talks with Dominic Perrottet about his plans to speed up the start of international travel into New South Wales. A US Navy engineer and his wife have been charged with attempting to sell secrets about American nuclear reactors to a foreign government, according to a statement from the US Department of Justice. Julia Sun reports from New York.
42-year-old Jonathan Toby is a nuclear engineer in the U.S. Navy. The Justice Department says he and his wife Diana are both in custody. The couple has been accused of devising, quote, a plot to transmit information relating to the design of American nuclear submarines to a foreign nation, U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland said in a statement. One of the allegations against them is that they placed restricted information on an SD card, which they concealed in a half peanut butter sandwich at a dead drop location in June this year. They believed they were communicating with a foreign representative, but in reality, it was an undercover FBI agent. The DOJ said there was a second exchange in August, and the couple was paid $100,000 in cryptocurrency.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
Hey, pipe down over there. It's time for the show. Oh, we're live. Oh, it's Free Talk Live. I already turned the buttons on.
Wait, we're doing a radio show right now?
And we'll do it live.
We'll do it live. I'll write it myself. We'll do it live.
The show is called Free Talk Live. If that's what you're looking for, you've tuned into the right place. However, if that's not what you were looking for, you've also tuned into the right place. If you would like to call and talk about whatever's on your mind, you may do so by dialing 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160.
And the domestic terrorist line is 603-283-6160.
Yes, thank you for pointing that out. Also, if you're an extremist, the extremist hotline is 603-283-6160, and you could call in and talk about your extremist activities.
Lines are open now.
Last year, we told you about Intercoin, which can help any business or organization launch their own currency or raise money using their own token. Now, Intercoin.org has launched worldwide. Is there a token you want to launch or an app you want to build? Go to Intercoin.org and enter your email, and someone from the team will get in touch and learn about your specific needs. While you're there, if you want, go ahead and get some Intercoins for yourself. Again, it's intercoin.org.
That sounds pretty cool. I will probably do that at 10 o'clock today.
Intercoin.org.
Yeah, I mean, I'll make my own Steve Classic currency. Coin.
I'd buy some classic coin. Yeah,
I'll trade you.
maybe.
Okay.
If
Talk
becomes
about it after
worth
the show.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Captain continues.
So we've been talking about this article from Rutherford.org, speculating that all of the infrastructure is in place to start rounding folks up who disobey government for, well, whatever reason the government decides. Specifically, in today's day and age, it would be for refusing the vax, or apparently just questioning, governments and their motivations.
Driving 66 miles an hour, maybe.
Yeah, they've talked about all the things that they might label you as, or why you might get labeled that, and so you may already be labeled a terrorist or an extremist or
Extremist.
yeah. So according to the FBI, you may also be classified as a domestic terrorist threat if you espouse conspiracy theories or dare to subscribe to any views contrary to the government's. The government also has a growing list shared with fusion centers and law enforcement agencies. And these are of ideologies, behaviors, affiliations, and other characteristics that could flag someone as suspicious.
Suspicious.
And result in their being labeled potential enemies of the state.
The state.
You kind of sound like a movie guy.
I got to get a little echo unit for you and just hit that. The state.
Are you familiar with Pablo Francisco, comedian of the 90s?
No, I'm not.
He used to do a great The Movie Guy. Right? He was one man.
One man.
Right. He had one desire. And what's really fun, and so he did such a good thing, that was like his most famous bit, right? Was being the movie guy. And he did such a good job that before the guy that he was imitating, before he died, he got to meet him and then do his impression of the movie guy with the actual movie guy, and it was hilarious.
Aww,
wow.
Wholesome.
Yeah.
Because I think the Seinfeld comedian movie trailer was done kind of in that style.
Yeah, nice.
One man. Captain continues.
So this is what happens when you not only put the power to determine who is a potential danger in the hands of government agencies, the courts, and the police, but also give those agencies liberal authority to lock individuals up for perceived wrongs. It's a system just begging to be abused by power-hungry bureaucrats desperate to retain their power at all costs. And it's happened before.
Before.
What? It's happened before?
It's a bunch of scallywags.
I actually have a really good solution for this. If you want to find out about it, go to nhexit.com.
Oh, wow. When you said solution, I was like, oh, you brought booze?
That too. That's after the
10
show.
o'clock.
Technically, alcohol is a solution.
10 o'clock.
All right.
When's the next break? Can we?
Steve, you might need one. As history shows, the U.S. government is not averse to locking up its very own citizens for its very own purposes. One need only go back to the 1940s when the federal government proclaimed that the Japanese Americans labeled potential dissidents could be put into concentration, aka internment camps, based only upon their ethnic origin. To see the lengths the federal government will go to in order to maintain order in the homeland, one only needs refer to those events.
I think Fusion Center is a cool name.
It sounds
Instead
like
of
there's
detention camp.
It sounds like you're going to see a jazz band.
Wow, go to the
Right?
Fusion Center.
Maybe that'd be a nice jazz bar to open up, right? The Fusion Center. Hey man, who's playing at the Fusion Center tonight?
Yeah.
You know?
You can take a bus with the National Guard driving you there. In a school bus. To the Fusion. Kids, we're going to the Fusion Center tonight.
People don't know. Why are we getting in the bus? You're going to the Fusion Center.
Don't worry about
It's a jazz band. It's fine.
Come on. Let's go.
In China, they were calling them re-education camps. Sounds so nice. Oh, they're just being re-educated. They're not being tortured.
Or
no.
brainwashed.
All that school
No,
you missed,
nothing
we're going
like
to
that.
re-educate you.
The U.S. Supreme Court actually validated the U.S. detention program in 1944, concluding that the government's need to ensure the safety of the country trumped personal liberties. That's lowercase t, not uppercase t.
Not the guy who
on that Trump. Yeah, not the
$7 trillion guy.
not the leader of the Trumpanzees, as I like to call them. Although the decision, it's called Korematsu, was never formally overturned, Chief Justice Roberts opined in, this time capital T, Trump versus Hawaii, 2018, that the forcible relocation of U.S. citizens to concentration camps solely and explicitly on the basis of race is objectively unlawful and outside the scope of presidential authority.
But what about a fusion center?
Well, as long as you're not rounding them up based on their race, I guess any other reason to round them up.
Okay.
At least so far. Robert's statements provide very little assurance of safety in light of the government's tendency to sidestep the rule of law when it suits its very own purposes, pointing out that such blatantly illegal detentions could happen again with the blessing of the courts. Justice Scalia once warned, in times of war, the laws fall silent. And we've seen this happen. Many laws are passed that don't get enforced.
The past 2 years especially, I mean, the stuff that they've just been pushing through, it's for your safety. Whose safety?
Theirs, It's just like the police. Do they serve and protect? Well, not you. They serve and protect them.
Exactly.
Right? They're there to serve and protect them, not us, them. FEMA's murky history also dates back to the 1970s when President Carter created it by way of an executive order, merging many of the government disaster relief agencies into one very large agency. During the 1980s, however, reports began to surface of secret military-type training exercises carried out by FEMA and the Department of Defense, codenamed Rex 84.
Rex 84.
34 federal agencies, including the CIA and the Secret Service, were trained on how to deal with domestic civil unrest. FEMA's role in creating top-secret American internment camps is very well documented, but be careful who you share this information with.
Turn your radio off.
It turns out that voicing concerns about the existence of FEMA detention camps, which is what I'm doing right now and we've been doing for the last 2 segments of the show, is among the growing list of opinions and activities which may make a federal agent or government official think you're an extremist.
That's
extremist.
A.K.A. terrorist.
Terrorist.
Or sympathetic to terrorist activities and thus qualify you for indefinite detention under the NDAA. Also included in that list of dangerous viewpoints are advocating for states' rights, believing the state to be unnecessary or undesirable, conspiracy theorizing, concern about alleged FEMA camps, opposition to war, organizing for economic justice, frustration with mainstream ideologies, opposition to abortion, opposition to globalization, and ammunition stockpiling.
I'm scared.
It's like everything I believe in, minus the opposition to abortion.
Get to the break, please. I'm scared.
That sounded like a list of side effects for a pill. Growth of a third eye, spontaneous bleeding from orifices.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
Yes, come on and join us here at Free Talk Live. Yeah, we've got somebody on hold, and we'll get to him momentarily. But I want to take just a second, every now and again, I like to just take sort of a glance. I'm not sure where these started, so I'll just look at the last page or so. Somebody says the Shire Church is a cult. Oh, yeah, very nice. I would claim that if that is true, then all churches are cults. And
the state is a cult.
The state is a church by the same definition, and thus it is a cult as well. Let's see. Woa Blondie is an inked hottie. Very nice. That's from Baltimore to Holland. New Jack is his username. Shire Church may need a new leader, etc. and so on. That's an extra thumbs up. Somebody says they love Trump.
What about Steve Classic? No
mention of Steve Classic yet.
I quit.
Yeah.
Tim, you want to jump in or what? I quit.
You can't quit. You committed to the whole 3 hours, bro. Right. Some of the scariest and untruthful words ever uttered. We're from the government, and we're here to help you. Yeah. Somebody says, poor Nikki needs new jeans. The knees are worn out.
I know, and they keep falling down, too.
And somebody else says,
need a belt.
Free Ross and Julian.
Yes.
I can get behind
Amen.
Both of those. I like the new meme that's going around because of the Facebook whistleblower, whatever.
Yeah,
whatever
I know exactly
is.
what you're talking about already.
And there's memes with Ross and Julian and all the whistleblowers and who've never gotten a bit of airtime, and they all say the same thing. They're like, real whistleblowers get no airtime.
Yeah, that's
right.
true.
So
right, the media would never promote a whistleblower as much as they've done the Facebook whistleblower.
Oh, Jesus the Cynic just said Steve is sexy hot.
Come on, man.
So there you go. You're infamous.
Thank you.
I
only have 1 hour left.
Infamous.
An hour and 15, maybe.
Yeah, a little. Yeah, a good solid 4 segments.
But this is recorded, so they could watch it over and over again if they wanted to.
I'm going to watch it over and over again.
All right, so we've been talking about this article from Rutherford.org outlining all of the horrible things that the government keeps track of that could get you labeled as an extremist.
Extremist.
Or a terrorist.
Terrorist.
Something along those lines, and thus subject you to being rounded up and put into detention indefinitely under the NDAA.
Fusion Center.
Fusion, right.
Make
yes.
it nice.
Going to make you a jazz artist.
It reminds me of like an Asian fusion restaurant. Will there be sushi there?
It depends if they intern the Japanese or not.
Or just, is it sushi or just stale bread like there usually is?
It's
what
going
kind
back to
of
bread
what
and
kind of
water.
concentration camp is this?
It's not a concentration. It's a fusion center.
And of course, they're going to round up arguably libertarians of all different shapes, sizes, and ilks, and they can change their flag to "throw bread on me."
No step on snake.
It's a duck.
I like that one.
It's a duck instead of a snake. Throw bread on me.
Throw bread at me.
We're going to talk more about this article from Rutherford.org and whether, when, as they say, are the roundups going to begin, because all the infrastructure is in place for them to start doing so. But first, let's go to Padraig calling from New Mexico.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can, yeah. You're on Free Talk Live. You sound all right.
Good. I want to run for governor of the state of New Mexico against Michelle Lujan Grisham and Steve Pierce or whatever the GOP puts out.
You're going to run against them?
I'd like to. I don't know how.
I don't know how either.
Nobody can represent the working people of New Mexico better than I can. My name is Padraig Malachi Lynch, and I'd like to use your program to speak out to the Jeromes and the good people of New Mexico to try to see if we can get out of this mess we're in.
You're doing that right now, so go ahead and speak out.
Okay, well, our tax dollars and our property taxes are going way up. Michelle Lujan Grisham's way out of control. Steve Pierce can't represent you. I'm just kind of a nobody, but I've been in law enforcement. I've been in the military, and I work. I'm a blue-collar worker, and I'd like to represent you as an independent. I'm not red. I'm not blue. I'm just purple.
Purple.
But I've worked with a lot of people out there that speak Spanish, and I don't know if the good people of New Mexico, any left, but they can't say my name. My name is Padraig Malachi Lynch, and I don't know how to get on the ballot, but I could use some help.
I would suggest taking on, a different name. You may not have to change your name, legally, but take on a different name that, would be easier to, for common folks to pronounce and that kind of a thing. If that's your struggle, or come up with a slogan that, cuts through all of that, and then, your name can just be attached to that. But come up with a slogan, and that way you can have like a website and you can advertise your campaign and all that kind of stuff. Now, I don't know about all this, but you seem to believe you can do a better job than the people currently running things in New Mexico. Am I hearing you correctly?
That's correct.
All right. Well, you know what? Good luck, man. I wish you the best of luck if that's what you really want to do. I would throw a hint
I don't want to do it. It's just that I don't see anybody better running.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody better in the program.
Well, what happens if everybody doesn't see anybody better? Like the whole story normally on, like, let's say a presidential election is, well, I got to vote for the lesser of two evils.
Hold
and I'm
your
like,
nose.
well, I don't like either candidate. And I don't like any of the independents. There's no candidate that I like at all to tell other people what to do and how to run their lives. What can I possibly do about it?
I'm hearing you. But I'm not trying to interfere with people's lives. I'm not trying to take their money away.
No.
I wanted them to have a better life.
That's great.
Are you starting with
down on the government programs? We have too many programs out there. They're stealing too much money. The only people getting rich are politicians and lawyers.
Are you trying to run for governor as your first foray into politics?
No, I ran against Steve Pierce one time.
Okay, but I mean, are you trying to run like local alderman or mayor or dog catcher or congressman?
Well, I was on the school board in Durango, and I was down there a teacher in Cuba, New Mexico.
Well, there's a lot of people who are jumping in now for school boards.
Yeah,
those domestic terrorists, those parents.
You would want to make sure that folks know that you have those other things that you've done as part of your political resume as such. Now, I have to ask you, Padraig. Let's just say you run and you win. You get elected. Now you're the governor of New Mexico. What is going to prevent you from becoming a politician who is bought and paid for by some elites or by some large corporation or by one of the two parties? What is going to prevent you from becoming evil when you become governor of New Mexico?
I'm picking up what you're laying down. First off, I want to fire everybody that's been working for the state over probably 8 years, 10 years.
Ooh.
They've already corrupted.
That's a good start.
I know.
Okay.
I want to hire my friends, the people that I've worked with, the people that I've been in the sewers with, the people that I've dug ditches with, those people. They know how to work. I've worked with people who know how to work. They know how to get up in the morning. They don't get vision paid for. They don't get the medical paid for. They don't get the retirements paid for. They've been working side by side with me, and those guys are smart. Those women are smart. They know what's going on. They see what's wrong.
Well, that's your slogan. I can work with people who work. That's your slogan right there. Just run with that. I can work with people who work. Right?
Work with, okay.
That was a great slogan.
And you invented it too, Padraig.
No, you did, but thank you very much.
All right, well, Padraig,
you guys.
let us know how the campaign goes and call us, with updates as you get it going. Thanks for the call. Many people get into politics for that reason, right? They feel so unable to do anything when it comes to, everybody's like, well, if you don't like it, vote the bastards out or whatever. And that doesn't work. No. Show me some bastards that have been voted out. I'll show you somebody who's been replaced with some other bastards. And so, a lot of folks get into politics for that reason. They're like, oh, I feel so helpless. I feel like this is the only thing I feel like I can do a better job. And I agree. Yes, a lot of people have felt that way and will continue to feel that way as time goes on. What I haven't seen, and perhaps Padraig can be the exception to the rule or something, but what I haven't seen is somebody who accomplishes that, who gets into office and then does what they said they were going to do. I've never seen that.
Right. I mean, if I was going to run for dog catcher, I would catch the dog, ask the dog if he wanted to go back to the house, and if he didn't want to go back to the house, I'd let him free.
Okay.
That would be my thing. If I was going to run for an office, it'd be dog catcher.
Dog catcher. Yeah. Is that a publicly elected thing?
Maybe.
Really?
I don't know.
Now it is.
Yeah. I mean, I may just, even if it's not, I may just put signs up saying, vote for me as dog catcher.
Now that's a sign I can get behind.
Vote for me.
And then you go to the state government or city government and you're like, hey, I've been the dog catcher and I don't get my paycheck yet. Where's my pay? 603-283-6160. Hour number 3 of Free Talk Live is next.
Breaking weather news. Belize is sunny and around 82 degrees every day this week.
What's the forecast for your life? If current politics and economic prospects are cramping your freedom, escape to the tropics. ECI Development has affordable second homes for you to own or rent in Belize and other tropical countries. Places with stable governments and growing economies. Secure your freedom now. To find out more, send an email to ftl@ecidevelopment.com.
When a lunar observatory detects a radio broadcast originating from Proxima Centauri, the nations of Earth discover their first contact with an alien race may also be their last. With the Proximans facing an extinction-level disaster, Earth must choose between sending a ship on a multi-year journey or allowing nature to take its course. Saving Proxima, a hard science fiction thriller by Travis S. Taylor and Les Johnson from BaneBooks.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Jagruti Dave. China has slammed a speech made by Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen, saying it incited confrontation. President Tsai vowed the island will not bow to pressure from Beijing over reunification. Beijing views Taiwan as part of its own territory, and President Tsai's comments come after one of the most tense weeks between the two sides in decades. Patrick Falk reports from Beijing.
Well, President Tsai's message was not just aimed at the people of Taiwan, but you might say it was directed at President Xi Jinping specifically as well. She said that Taiwan would bolster its national defenses and it wouldn't accept the path that China had offered it, because that path offered neither freedom nor democracy. A lot of people might say that was really in direct response to everything really that's happened over the last week or so. You know, first of all, we had the series of massive incursions into Taiwan's airspace, and then that followed the remarks by President Xi Jinping, the contrasting comments that he made, saying that peaceful reunification would be in the best interests of the people of Taiwan.
Australia's largest city, Sydney, has emerged from almost 4 months of coronavirus lockdown, which was imposed to curb the spread of the Delta variant of COVID-19. The state of New South Wales has reached its target of fully vaccinating 70% of over 16s. State Premier Dominic Perrottet urged for a cautious return to normal life, with health experts fearing that reopening could also trigger a rise in COVID-19 cases. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison is also in talks with Dominic Perrottet about his plans to speed up the start of international travel into New South Wales. A US Navy engineer and his wife have been charged with attempting to sell secrets about American nuclear reactors to a foreign government, according to a statement from the US Department of Justice. Julia Sun reports from New York.
42-year-old Jonathan Toby is a nuclear engineer in the US Navy. The Justice Department says he and his wife Diana are both in custody. The couple has been accused of devising, quote, a plot to transmit information relating to the design of American nuclear submarines to a foreign nation, U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland said in a statement. One of the allegations against them is that they placed restricted information on an SD card, which they concealed in a half peanut butter sandwich at a dead drop location in June this year. They believed they were communicating with a foreign representative, but in reality, it was an undercover FBI agent. The DOJ said there was a second exchange in August, and the couple was paid $100,000 in cryptocurrency.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. The annual autumn meetings of the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank take place this week, and once again, Washington, home to their headquarters, is serving as host. But this year, it's a Washington questioning its own ability to lead on the world stage. Just last week, the country narrowly avoided defaulting on its debts. The week before that, it narrowly avoided a government shutdown. And that leaves some US analysts of international affairs worried about the trajectory their own nation is on.
There are great concerns around the world about the competence of the United States.
Jim Lindsay is with the New York-based Council on Foreign Relations and says the US will be hard-pressed to lead by example at this week's meetings.
The Biden administration is fond of talking about how America is back. But I think for people in many foreign capitals, the America that is back is not one that they recognize. It is no longer the can-do country. And they worry that the United States is a country that has effectively become dysfunctional. The president says he is going to do something on behalf of the United States. Can he actually follow through?
The president insists American credibility is returning, but week after week he's battling to deliver on his own priorities. And with Donald Trump hitting the campaign trail only this past weekend, some international leaders may be keeping a close eye over the president's shoulder. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main headlines again. China has slammed a speech made by Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen, saying it incited confrontation. Australia's largest city, Sydney, has emerged from almost 4 months of coronavirus lockdown. And a US Navy engineer and his wife have been charged with attempting to sell secrets about American nuclear reactors to a foreign government, according to the US Department of Justice. And that is the latest from Feature Story News. I'm Jagruti Dave in Washington.
Months after identifying the elusive Higgs boson particle, scientists at CERN in Geneva, Switzerland have announced that they've completely run out of things to do with their Large Hadron Collider.
We've tried some time travel stuff, but it doesn't really work. Black holes, but we already know like a ton about those. Last week, we threw a bird in there. Honestly, we thought it would take way longer to find the Higgs boson.
Director General of CERN, Rolf Dieter Hauer, told reporters that while they, quote, might be able to figure out some more about quarks or something, for the most part, his team has spent much of the past year throwing pennies into the machine and turning it on to see if the pennies come out smushed.
We might just start building a larger hadron collider. Yeah, maybe a bigger collider for smaller hadrons or something. I don't know.
CERN has announced on their website that if anyone out there has any fun ideas for experiments, you can email them to ideas@largehadroncollider.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live, kicking off hour number 3 of this live Sunday broadcast. The telephone number, if you would like to call in and get something off your chest, talk about current events, talk about news, talk about, I don't know, how much you hate our show and all the guests, are terrorists and extremists.
Fusion centers.
That's we all belong in fusion centers. You're free to do so at 603-283-6160. In the studio, it's myself, the captain.
Steve, classic.
And Nikki.
All right. I think we've carried that far.
No, we still have another hour.
If you're going to do that kind of thing, hit the silence button.
Okay.
Sorry,
everybody.
It kind of picks up.
We keep talking.
That's an excellent illustration, Steve. Also, don't wear it out. It's a long story, but I think at least one of those mute buttons is a white supremacist mute button.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I won't touch it then.
Well, I mean, like if you feel some white supremacy coming on,
I can mute myself.
You can mute yourself.
All right.
Yeah, so
it's the equity button.
Okay. I'm just saying. No, actually, one of these buttons used to belong to a former co-host of Free Talk Live, who decided it was better for him to become a white supremacist Nazi type.
Oh, then I don't want to touch that.
And so, but it was like left over somehow and installed.
But I kind of like that.
All right.
Just don't break it.
Continue, Captain.
I have to tell you that you can get your digital tickets now for Liberty in Our Lifetime, an event being hosted by the Free Private Cities Foundation. Although physical tickets are already sold out, you can still get virtual tickets at lifetimeliberty.com. Liberty in Our Lifetime is exploring projects happening right now around the world and are working to achieve that lofty goal of securing freedom in our lifetime. Speakers from Crypto Valley, Prospera, the Seasteading Institute, and more will all be speaking at this October 16th event. Get your digital tickets now at lifetimeliberty.com. See what people are doing all around the world to create voluntary societies with a live and let live attitude at lifetimeliberty.com. It's only in like 6 days, so go now.
It's cool.
All right. I have a confession to make.
Oh, well, you are the Reverend. Go ahead.
It is Sunday. So let's start an irregular segment called Sunday Confession with Reverend Captain Kickass.
Esquire.
I will go ahead and because I already had a thing to confess. Some folks in the libertarian community frown upon sports ball, right? And I also make fun of sports as well, because if you substitute the word government for the word national, generally speaking, it's true. And that would make the NFL, the NBA, and the
National Hockey League?
NHL, thank you. All government, and they are. Because guess what? They, taxes build all your stadiums. Cities are on the hook.
And you have two
taxpayers
teams like the
hook.
Democrats and the Republicans.
Two teams. It is
another thing for people to worship.
It is very.
I don't like those people.
Very statist reinforcing. It really is.
Yeah.
And this is like Rome, right? When we saw Rome, they had the gladiators, and it's the same kind of effect. It was sponsored by the state, and they do all their propaganda, just like the NFL, right? They do the flyovers with the military jets. Yep. And the NFL has actually paid money, the government has paid money to the NFL for the ability for them to propagandize their viewers. So, that all being said, I still watch the NFL.
NFL. I watch whenever I get paid to do the NFL. I watch the NFL. Otherwise, I don't watch.
That's right, because you do media stuff here. You're an actual professional outside.
But even when I'm paid to watch it, I don't really watch it.
Yeah,
it's like, all right.
So anyway, that's my confession. Why do I bring that up? Because sometimes when it's 4th and long, you got to punt, which means you got to, So I'm switching subjects, is what I'm saying. This is my segue.
Oh, all right.
I've punted the previous article that we were talking about in favor of this next article. However, you should finish the article yourself if you've been listening to this program, and you can go over to social.freetalklive.com. You can join our matrix. We have a Telegram chat. The links that we talk about, generally speaking, get posted to all of our social medias. I think we're still on Twitter. I know we still have a Facebook feed going on. If you're still on those, there are ways for you to see. So I've put the link to the full story up on our social media. So if you're on there or you're not on there, go and find it and finish reading the rest of the article. It's very important. But I want to talk about this from Intellectual Takeout.
Wait, I thought we were talking about sports.
No, I've segued 3 times now.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Continue. I used
I'm a rookie.
I used my sports confession as the segue between the previous article and the next article.
See, you're a professional broadcaster.
And I also invented a new Sunday segment while I was,
And now you're an Esquire.
Whether I remember that this is, somewhat a recurring segment, I don't know.
Okay, we'll find out.
We may have heard the first and last of Sunday Confession. We don't know.
Okay.
All right, try not to do that.
Just having a little fun here, folks.
I've said time and time again that if only people would examine the evidence, that my points of view would become self-explanatory to them. Right? So if you look at who's the largest taker of money in the world, who takes the most money from people without their consent?
The U.S. government.
Governments in general, as an organization. Any government. It could be the Chinese government. Right. I don't, maybe the Chinese government takes more than the U.S. government takes from the U.S. I don't know, whatever. Right. But like far more than any criminal individual.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
They've got what it takes to take what you've got.
Who's the largest, the biggest, the most murderous organization on planet Earth?
Governments.
Yeah. And again, I'm not speaking specifically of the U.S. government. I'm speaking of all government. Government as an organization type globally, right? Where are most rapes committed? Government facilities.
College campuses? No.
Government facilities.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, no, college campuses.
Prison?
State schools. I'm sorry, state schools.
Unwanted pregnancies might happen in college. All right. But, so government is the largest, biggest, and most of all of the bad things. And the evidence backs up my statements. If you open your mind and you actually do research, people, you can't research things, and oh, really? Where else are you going to research things?
No one has time to research. They're watching the NFL.
Right. But if you do the research, you would change your mind immediately. And somebody else had this experience. A statistician who writes for the Washington Post rethinks gun control after digging into the data. So this particular person, statistician Leah Libresco, said she used to be for gun control. Then she looked at the data. Writing at the Washington Post, the former news writer for the data journalism site 538 explained her epiphany. Quote, "Before I started researching gun deaths, gun control policy used to frustrate me. I wished the National Rifle Association would stop blocking common sense gun control reforms such as banning assault weapons, restricting silencers, shrinking magazine sizes, and all of the other measures that could make guns less deadly." That is antithesis to my points of view.
Wow. So she did some research?
Then my colleagues and I, this is her speaking, my colleagues and I at 538 spent 3 months.
Wow.
analyzing all 33,000 lives ended by guns each year in the United States. That's a lot. 3 months is a lot of time.
I was going to say 33,000. That's
right?
just Chicago? That's all the entire
I
United
think
States.
maybe in 1 year. It's 33,000 a year. But
that's not just Chicago. That's across the country.
Where did you get Chicago from?
I don't know. Chicago always has like thousands of people.
I don't think I've said Chicago at all in this article.
I'm thinking of the Chicago Bears. I'm sorry, NFL. I'm still in the NFL.
Well,
continue.
Why is there a southern wind always blowing out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin?
I don't know.
Because the Bears suck.
Oh. Who's in charge of the popcorn army?
It's actually because Chicago sucks. But so anyway,
right, continue.
So this lady continues in speaking. She said, then my colleagues and I at 538 spent 3 months analyzing all 33,000 lives ended by guns each year in the United States. And I wound up frustrated in a whole new way. We looked at what interventions might have saved those people, and the case for policies I'd lobby for crumbled when I examined the evidence. We'll find out more about how Labrisco changed her mind from being for gun control to advocating for more freedom when it comes to guns. Here on Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
Breaking weather news. Belize is sunny and around 82 degrees every day this week.
What's the forecast for your life? If current politics and economic prospects are cramping your freedom, escape to the tropics. ECI Development has affordable second homes for you to own or rent in Belize and other tropical countries. Places with stable governments and growing economies. Secure your freedom now. To find out more, send an email to ftl@ecidevelopment.com.
Brute force, intransigent defiance, adamantine will. These are the hallmarks of the AI tank. These gigantic machines have the firepower of an army, but they also have their own sense of honor and duty. When the world breakers arrive, battle will be joined, planets will shake, and war and peace will never be the same again. World Breakers. Stories from David Weber, Larry Correa, and more. Available August 3rd from BaneBooks.com.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 27th through July 3rd for the 6th annual Fork Fest at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Fork Fest is a fork of the Porcupine Freedom Festival, which sold out for the first time in 2021. Fork Fest takes place the week after Pork Fest, but Fork Fest is decentralized, which means that there's no ticket cost and no one is in charge. All you have to do to join the fun is reserve your camping site, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 27th through July 3rd. There's no better place to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire. You can find out more at the unofficial website, forkfest.party. You can also connect with other attendees on the Forkfest Telegram and Matrix chat rooms, as well as the Forkfest Forum. You can find links to those at forkfest.party. We hope to see you there. Forkfest.party. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
How do I press the right button?
Boop, beep, beep, boop, boop.
Let's see, that'd be S3E3. All right, that's the next generation from R2D2. Or would it be R2D7?
That was BB-8. Oh, no, he's a different droid unit altogether. I'm
definitely.
sorry.
This is Free Talk Live. In case you were wondering, why we're talking about buttons and stuff. We have a studio. You can call us. It's 603-283-6160. We will put you on the air.
That's the domestic terrorist hotline.
It really is. It's also the extremist hotline.
Extremist.
I have to tell you that our other co-hosts on, I think these guys are on Wednesday? Ari and Conan?
No,
Tuesday?
I'm on Wednesday. With a rotating chair.
They're on Thursday, I think?
Tuesday.
No. Arya and Conan. Tuesday?
Yeah, Matt's on Thursday.
I can't keep
Well, you can listen on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But
who even are these people?
Suffice it to say, we have co-hosts named Arya and Conan. They're doing something, and this tells me to say Arya and Conan are idiots.
Okay.
Wow.
And they're going to prove it on October 12th on Freer Talk Live. That's the after show. To Free Talk Live. By eating progressively hot peppers, up to and including the Carolina Reaper, the hottest pepper in the world, while discussing stuff. What will they be attempting to discuss while choking and breathing fire? They don't know yet. They don't know their topic. They don't know their subject material for the show, but they will be discussing stuff. You could send money to thecrypto6.com if you want, but there's no cause, no fundraiser, no mission, just two people torturing themselves for other people's amusement. Who will go for the milk first? Tune in to Freer Talk Live October 12th, which is just a couple of days from now.
Tuesday, I think. Yes, it's Tuesday.
At 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
Wow.
And you can watch it live at video.freetalklive.com. Freer Talk Live is... It used to be somewhat regular, where we would have an uncensored after show after our regular broadcast from 7 to 10 p.m.
It's like the bonus hour.
And so it looks like it's making a comeback. Wow. Freer Talk Live with Arya and Conan, October 12th, 10:30 Eastern. Tune in to see who burns their face off.
I mean, you could probably have peppers at home and play along at home.
Oh, yeah, that'd be so fun.
Well,
and
play
just
along with the home game.
See if you can beat the host.
And then you could videotape yourself. And
send it in.
Wow, the vomiting and all that would be great.
Oh, no.
Wow,
call the domestic terrorist hotline right now, 603.
You have to say the whole number.
283-6160. Call down.
Right,
the captain will be taking your calls.
So we've been talking about this article from Intellectual Takeout, where a statistician, who's also a writer for the Washington Post, used to be for gun control. She wanted to not, make silencers illegal and ban assault weapons and, all that fun stuff that all these gun control folks want to do. And then she and some colleagues spent 3 months analyzing 33,000 lives ended by by guns, and she wound up frustrated because Libresco pointed out, as well as Intellectual Takeout, that the media have drawn misguided conclusions about the effectiveness of gun control in nations such as Australia and the United Kingdom. She concluded that they didn't prove much about what America's policy should be. From silencers to bans on assault weapons to magazine capacity limits, All of the policy prescriptions she had heard politicians talk about for years would be basically meaningless, she concluded upon digging into the actual numbers. The truth is, suicide counts for the vast majority of gun deaths in the U.S., 2/3 as a matter of fact. The next largest death figure comes from homicides involving young men aged 15 to 34. Deaths that often involve gang conflicts in which shooters use firearms obtained unlawfully anyway. Gun legislation, she concluded, would have a minimal impact on gun deaths in the U.S., but that doesn't mean we should do nothing. A reduction in gun deaths is most likely to come from finding smaller chances for victories and expanding those solutions as much as possible, Libresco writes. We save lives by focusing on a range of tactics to protect the different kinds of potential victims and reforming potential killers, not from sweeping bans focused on the guns themselves. So that's a long way of saying people kill people, guns don't kill people. That's really the
took her
heart of the matter.
Took her 3 months to figure that out.
3 months of, analysis, right? She is a statistician.
Right.
That is her career choice. If she's been employed as a statistician and then a statistical writer at the New York Post, I would imagine she's pretty good, or at least adequate.
I think she's at the Washington Compost, right? You said the New York Post?
What did I say?
I don't know.
You said compost.
That's
funny.
water under the burning bridge. Continue, Captain.
Water under the burning bridge. So Libresco's story was a true mugging by reality. And one cannot help be impressed that the social scientist did something that seems increasingly rare in modern society. She changed her mind.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not all over the headlines of all the newspapers, right?
No, of course
This is buried on page whatever.
It probably didn't even make it to a newspaper.
Right.
It goes on to say, if only politicians were so open to contradiction by reality. The problem is that gun control has become a moral issue in American culture as much as a political one. Mere facts have difficulty standing up to moral outrage of this kind, but facts, as they say, are stubborn things.
So she's still missing something here.
Yes.
There is a reason why governments don't want their people, quote unquote, their people, to be armed. Because we saw what happened in Australia.
Some people have not seen that, though.
Yeah. Well, maybe they should open their eyes.
You said not seeing that?
People have not seen that.
They did not see that coming.
They did not see it.
I saw it coming. Because
I saw it coming.
If you open a history book, you find that
absolutely
whenever a government disarms their citizenry, their population, their people, quote unquote. These are horrible terms for this, by the way, because it implies that government owns you, which they do, so they're your owners, whatever. But every time government disarms their population, people die. Large numbers of people die. Very large numbers, because, well, the only people that have guns are government.
You know what Fidel Castro said? I've got the quote right here. What does the government do once it disarms its citizens?
Anything it
Whatever
wants.
it wants.
Exactly.
Here's the meme.
He's got a cigar and he's all smiling. Yes. I wish more people would just take a minute, open their minds, and look at the evidence. I talked about how government as an organization type is responsible for more of the bad things that people consider bad. Everything that cultures across the globe consider bad, they're responsible for most of them. You can find out that information by researching one term. That's democide, D-E-M-O-C-I-D-E, or death by government. If you just take a minute and open your mind and look into those numbers, I think you will be as overwhelmed as this person was, and perhaps you will change your minds. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live is next.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Karl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Jagruti Dave. China has slammed a speech made by Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen, saying it incited confrontation. President Tsai vowed the island will not bow to pressure from Beijing over reunification. Beijing views Taiwan as part of its own territory, and President Tsai's comments come after one of the most tense weeks between the two sides in decades. Patrick Falk reports from Beijing.
Well, President Tsai's message was not just aimed at the people of Taiwan, but you might say it was directed at President Xi Jinping specifically as well. She said that Taiwan would bolster its national defenses and it wouldn't accept the path that China had offered it, because that path offered neither freedom nor democracy. A lot of people might say that was really in direct response to everything really that's happened over the last week or so. You know, first of all, we had the series of massive incursions into Taiwan's airspace, and then that followed the remarks by President Xi Jinping, the contrasting comments that he made, saying that peaceful reunification would be in the best interests of the people of Taiwan.
Australia's largest city, Sydney, has emerged from almost 4 months of coronavirus lockdown, which was imposed to curb the spread of the Delta variant of COVID-19. The state of New South Wales has reached its target of fully vaccinating 70% of over 16s. State Premier Dominic Perrottet urged for a cautious return to normal life, with health experts fearing that reopening could also trigger a rise in COVID-19 cases. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison is also in talks with Dominic Perrottet about his plans to speed up the start of international travel into New South Wales. A US Navy engineer and his wife have been charged with attempting to sell secrets about American nuclear reactors to a foreign government, according to a statement from the US Department of Justice. Julia Sun reports from New York.
42-year-old Jonathan Toby is a nuclear engineer in the US Navy. The Justice Department says he and his wife Diana are both in custody. The couple has been accused of devising, quote, a plot to transmit information relating to the design of American nuclear submarines to a foreign nation, U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland said in a statement. One of the allegations against them is that they placed restricted information on an SD card, which they concealed in a half peanut butter sandwich at a dead drop location in June this year. They believed they were communicating with a foreign representative, but in reality, it was an undercover FBI agent. The DOJ said there was a second exchange in August, and the couple was paid $100,000 in cryptocurrency.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back, everybody. It is Free Talk Live. It's the live Sunday night edition. In the studio tonight, I am your host, the Lord Reverend Dr. Captain Kickass Esquire, if you will. I don't know. We added some titles
that's
today. There's something else in front of it I wanted to do too that I can't remember. But whatever. In the studio, it's me and
Steve Classic
and Nikki.
And we've been having fun tonight with you and without you. So, that's fine.
Call the hotline.
If you want to call the domestic terrorism hotline and tell, 200 radio stations or so and all of the internet how you feel about governments and their, overbearingness and all that kind of thing, 603-283-6160. Again, the telephone number, 603-283-6160. I have to tell you that Free Talk Live's video archives have been on Library for years now. Library is an uncensorable, decentralized, blockchain-based media sharing protocol, and we're very big fans of that here on Free Talk Live. In 2020, Library launched Odyssey. It's a video sharing website directly to compete with YouTube, and it's really taking off now with over 1 million channels, many of whom are disaffected YouTube creators, people that YouTube has canceled. During YouTube's crackdown for not towing the government line on COVID, the Free Talk Live YouTube channel started receiving strikes and literally could be taken down any minute. Thankfully, Odyssey started offering live streaming as well, and so now Free Talk Live streams live every night, and we're posting our video archives permanently to Odyssey. You can watch our live stream anytime on our Odyssey channel by visiting video.freetalklive.com, video.freetalklive.com. If you really want to go all in, go over to lbry.com, download the desktop app, and then every video archive that you watch, you'll actually help seed and keep it online forever, which is pretty cool. So again, video.freetalklive.com. Follow us on Odyssey today, video.freetalklive.com. All right, so we were talking about this gal, and she is a statistician. By trade, she does statistics. She's a numbers girl. And she used to be for gun control. Right? She wanted to ban silencers and limit the type of gun, all the things you hear about from the government all the time and how they're trying to, keep folks from arming themselves as they see fit. And then she and some colleagues of hers, they did 3 months worth of research. And she concluded that she was wrong about all of it and has changed her mind. She is no longer for gun control because, she saw the overwhelming evidence. And she says, from silencers to bans on assault weapons to magazine capacity limits, all of the policy prescriptions she had heard politicians talk about for years would be basically meaningless, she concluded. She talked about how suicide counts for the vast majority of deaths, followed by homicides involving young men, gang activity where they obtained their firearms unlawfully anyway. Gun legislation, she concluded, would have a minimal impact. A reduction in gun deaths is most likely to come from finding smaller chances for victories. We talked about this a little bit, but I wanted to say that she is missing something. And she's missing the part where more freedom equals happier people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so that's going to drop that suicide rate substantially.
Right.
And I think I was talking about it over dinner. Every Sunday we go to Fokeen Great and we do our little social Sunday shindig. But I brought it up that a lot during the COVID lockdowns, a lot of the people that we were seeing coming into the hospitals weren't COVID patients. Yeah, we were getting our fair share of COVID patients, but we were seeing a lot of relapses from people that were, prior drug addicts or people that were prior alcoholics and that had been clean. They got their resources, their NA and their AA resources taken away, or just, being locked in their house. I know I had a friend tell me that, she was never a drinker before, but her boyfriend was still working. She was locked at home all day long with nothing to do. So she took up a new hobby of drinking. The liquor stores were still open. And within a month, she had developed a really bad alcohol problem. So we're seeing a lot of people in the hospitals coming in for overdoses, for suicide attempts, for, mental health wellness checks, because they were having suicidal tendencies and they were looking to get help. And that's more so what we were seeing in the hospitals, more so than COVID.
And we covered some of that during the lockdowns.
Yeah.
The amount of people that committed suicide skyrocketed on a percentage basis.
And that wasn't being talked about. It was all COVID, and it wasn't any of the effects of the lockdowns that was being talked about.
Right.
Well, we have a new research project for our journalists there to look into.
Yeah, that is true.
If she still works there. I mean, I'm surprised she's,
if she's
unemployed after writing that article. Jeez.
Yeah, you can't tell the truth.
What?
If she's listening, perhaps she could take that as a suggestion. All right, I think that I also want to talk about this idea. You guys have probably heard this. I know it's been mentioned here on Free Talk Live, but I haven't had an opportunity to opine. I have this article called "The Hidden History of the $1 Trillion Coin." So the part that was talked about on a previous episode this week of Free Talk Live was this idea comes up every now and again when government talks about the debt ceiling and
be responsible and raise that debt.
Yeah. And so somebody says, why don't you just print a $1 trillion coin and have the Federal Reserve mint that and then use that to pay off $1 trillion of the national
Why not
debt?
make 30 of them?
Why not just make one that's the entire amount and then some of the national debt?
Make
and then go, hey, here you go.
Why not make one for every American? We'll all be trillionaires.
So apparently there's a history behind this idea. And this is from Reason.com, The Hidden History of the $1 Trillion Coin. This says Friday AV Club in 1992 was a paramilitary American firster who wanted to do #MintTheCoin. As the latest showdown over raising the country's debt limit comes to a close, and as Washington gears up to repeat the fight in December, we're hearing another round of calls for that charmingly cranky idea, the $1 trillion coin. If the government doesn't have enough money to meet its obligations, the argument goes, it can simply mint a platinum coin worth $1 million or more. While the law limits how many...
It's absurd.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, continue.
I know. And they just keep printing more and oh, no, you can't have any. It's all for us. While the law limits how many gold, silver, or copper coins are in circulation, Congress passed legislation in the mid-1990s that appears to give the Treasury a much freer hand when issuing coins made of platinum. The bill in question was only supposed to cover commemorative coins, but its actual language isn't so narrow. And so the forces gathered under the #MintTheCoin they believe that they've found a loophole. This idea has been sloshing around liberal circles for about a decade, going back to the debt ceiling fights of the Tea Party era. But the content is older than that. It's even older than The Trouble with Trillions, the 1998 Simpsons classic, in which the U.S. government prints a $1 trillion bill. Mr. Burns steals it, and
the Simpsons are always right.
Right?
And
predicting the future.
And he and Homer flee to start a newer, freer country.
I want that crystal ball that they have.
The $1 trillion bill?
No, the crystal
Simpsons.
ball that the Simpsons are using to predict the future so well.
This says in parentheses, apparently Homer and Mr. Burns end up in Cuba.
With the $1 trillion coin. Where everyone has a $1 trillion coin.
Imagine if it was like they end up in New Hampshire and then they do a New Hampshire freedom movement.
Aren't catalytic converters made out of platinum?
Yeah, I think
Or
so,
is it
yes.
palladium?
It's platinum, I think.
Oh, so that's why all the catalytic converters are getting stolen.
Yeah,
to make
they're
this
expensive,
coin.
right? Yeah. How long has the idea of the $1 trillion coin been around? We'll tell you that it's been around longer than something when we come back. 603-283-6160. Why don't they just print a $1 trillion coin for everybody and send it out?
I have one, actually.
Like a stimulus coin. Stimmy coin. More Free Talk Live is on the way.
The Shire Free Church offers a sanctuary to those seeking an escape from state churches.
The Shire Free Church is an interfaith, diverse group of people that may not share identical theological beliefs. As a member in or minister of the Shire Free Church, you are a sovereign individual and may be the faith of your choice.
We don't claim to have all of the answers.
We are open to all peaceful people.
We want to learn from each other.
What unifies the Shire Free Church and its diverse members is peace,
love,
and liberty. There are many paths to God, one for every individual.
The Shire Free Church does not define a specific path beyond those parameters that must be your foundation.
Peace as your way.
Love as your guide.
and liberty as your light.
Learn more at church.shiresociety.com.
That's church.shiresociety.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit shiresociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at shiresociety.com. That's shiresociety.com. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
It's the final segment of this Sunday night edition of Free Talk Live. Church is in session. I am the Reverend Captain Kickass.
Amen.
And a woman. No, I'm not a woman. I am a man.
Esquire. You're an esquire.
Maybe. I'm also a doctor, but only honorarily.
An escort.
Yes, I've been given an honorary doctorate by a caller, ironically. Thank you, caller, for giving me the honorary doctorate so I could add it to my lengthy title of nothingness, really. Yes. We are a live talk radio program. We're here 7 nights a week from 7 p.m. until 10 p.m. Eastern Time. If you want to call between those hours, 7 p.m., 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Some radio stations that we're on don't play us live. They'll, repeat a show, or they'll play an hour of it in a different slot, whatever. They slice and dice and cut through aluminum cans and, all that stuff against you nice.
Broadcast time shifting.
Yes. BTS, as it were. And so if you want to call and get on the air, you want to call between 7 and 10 p.m. Eastern. So in the studio, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, and
Steve Classic.
And Nikki.
So we were talking about this idea of $1 trillion coin.
With Homer Simpson on the
I really
face.
have one.
And Mr. Burns.
On
It's
the flip
real.
side is Monty Burns.
Mr. Burns.
Who is that?
You have to you have to do the finger. Mr. Burns.
I'll remember that.
Well, Smithers, why don't you go ahead and become free? Anyway, the idea of the trillion-dollar coin has been around longer than the commemorative bill that we talked about, where in The Simpsons they printed $1 million bill. It goes back at least as far as 1992, when Lieutenant Colonel James Bo Gritz, the forefather of militia movement, self-proclaimed real-life Rambo, quote-unquote. I've never heard of that militia movement. And presidential candidate of the America First Coalition promoted strikingly similar ideas on the campaign trail alongside his promise to rescue POWs from Vietnam, withdraw from the United Nations, and prohibit foreign ownership of American land.
Where's he now, in a fusion camp?
They have a video here of him laying out the plan in 92. We don't watch videos over radio. If you can't watch the video, which we can't, here's the key quote. As President of the United States, I am going to have, on the very first day in office, a pot metal coin. That sounds...
Pot metal?
Yeah, that
It sounds like a metal band.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll
where
go
they
to a
smoke pot.
concert, bro. Oh, dude, it's pot metal. Right? I believe they call it stoner rock. Anyway, the coin is going to be struck, and it will say $4 trillion.
Wow.
Why 4?
and
That's
it-
like such a
92
random
money.
increment.
It's it's from 92, so who knows? And it will say, debt of the United States paid in full. And then the crowd laughs and cheers him on.
So $4 trillion might have been the debt in 1992.
It probably was, yeah. That's what I'm guessing. Gritz didn't win the 92 election, but he did do best by one minor metric. When my old boss, Bill Bradford, took a motorcycle trip through Idaho that year, he told me afterward that he had seen more campaign signs for Gritz than for any other candidate. The man wound up getting 10,281 votes in Idaho, which isn't bad by third-party standards. Not enough to carry the state. It would translate into a lot of yard signs, I bet. In Franklin County, where Ross Perot's total pushed Bill Clinton into third place, Gritz, go ahead, blah, blah, blah. I don't care about this guy.
You could have bought a lot of lawn signs for $4 trillion bucks.
I guess that was the history of the idea of a $1 trillion coin. But I'm with you, Steve Classic. Why not just print one coin or one bill that wipes out the debt entirely? If you're going to do something as preposterous as let's print our way out of this thing,
Why stop at $1 trillion? I mean, who came up with that number? Like $4 trillion. I see $4 trillion. Okay, that was the debt back then. Make a $30 trillion coin, send it to China, and we're done.
They don't want to pay off the debt. They love the debt.
They don't. Of course they
Add more. We love debt. More.
Be
More debt.
responsible and raise the debt ceiling.
Right.
That's what they say.
Yeah, is that what happens to me? Like if I overextend myself on, my mortgage and my credit cards and my car loan and all that kind of stuff, if I can't pay all of that off, do I get to go, oh, it's fine, I'll just raise my debt ceiling?
Well, they love it when you do that too.
No, you can't do that. It's not possible for you to personally
but if the credit
raise
card company
your debt ceiling.
Right. If they said like we're going to
If you
increase
start
your limit,
if you start missing your payments, they're going to start repoing stuff.
That's true.
and guys
But
with guns will show up.
They do love it when people are in debt. They want
They
you
do.
to have the auto loan. They want you to have a mortgage, credit cards, rack up those credit card bills. The banks love it and the government loves it.
Yeah, debt slavery is a real thing.
Yeah.
It is alive and it exists globally, not just here in the United States. Globally, it exists.
Well, debt is money. Money is created with debt.
It can
In a
be.
roundabout way, if you Google that or whatever.
Yeah. There's actually an anarchist thinker. He comes from the left. His name is David Graeber, and he did a video seminar called, I think it was called Money the First 5,000 Years.
Oh.
Something like that.
Is it like the 11th marble?
And
Something like
he says basically what you said. He's like, money exists because of debt. Right, because it used to be, I have 6 chickens I want to trade for your 1 cow. And like, no, you need 12 chickens to equal 1. So people had to use some sort of a tool, an
At least if you
instrument.
traded chickens, you could produce more chickens.
Right, but in order to
Without
barter
printing money.
more efficiently, they needed to develop a tool, and this is where money comes from. So they just wrote it down on pieces of paper or pieces of gold, and gold was heavy anyway. It's hard to carry a bunch of that around. So if I want to buy like a building or something, I can't carry that much gold around. I can't hand you, here, Steve, here's a bag of gold.
If you want to buy a beer, you can use a gold back.
That is true. Gold backs are sort of an extension, a new technology,
Like
if
in
you
your
will.
pocket, they're very nice.
I do have that. And also there's Bitcoin. Cryptocurrency.
Why doesn't the government just buy all the Bitcoin and? Well, no, we don't want them to do that.
No,
never mind.
And it's already
never mind.
It's already too late.
Record.
It's already too late. Other folks now
Fedcoin,
own
yeah,
Bitcoin.
Fedcoin.
But there are, these tools have graduated, and they're not necessarily even unique to humankind. For example, primates have been observed trading, colorful rocks with each other.
Really?
For things like, orangutan's got some bananas, and orangutan number 2 wants the bananas. And instead of fighting, he offers to trade for these colorful rocks that he found on the beach or whatever. And so the other orangutan goes, sure, here, and they trade the rocks. And then the lady orangutans find out that these things are worth something. And of course, the first thing they do is try and sell themselves sexually to the male orangutans. So prostitution really is the oldest industry, and it's not exclusive to humankind.
Wow.
So all the more reason.
Why do you bring this up now at the end of the show? This should have started the show. Next Sunday, to be continued.
Yeah, perhaps next Sunday we will talk more about the orangutan debt problem and how they solved it with prostitution.
Yes, we're growing more bananas to get off the debt. We're going to grow more bananas.
They didn't have to raise the debt ceiling.
They just grow up.
They just had to turn off the lights for a while. Put on some...
Cue the Barry White. Right?
Barry White, thank you. Yes, that's what it is. Cue the Barry White. And free trade was, and all the baboons were happy.
Go forth and prosper.
Yes, Primate Talk Live, 7 nights a week.
I think we just found the solution to create peace. Is that how we create world peace? Shiny rocks and prostitution?
We F our way out of a sticky situation.
Anyone calling in on the domestic terrorist hotline? No? Oh, no.
They did on the movie we were discussing in the break, Steve, you and I, The Pick of Destiny. It's a Tenacious D movie. And we were discussing, in that movie, we'll say the master is trying to teach the student, how to be a rock star. And one of the things he commands him to do is 1 cock push-up. So he's got to get down on the floor.
A male chicken, right?
Got to get down on the floor, face down, and then only using your mind. You've got to arouse yourself in such a manner that you successfully do one.
You need me to watch this movie, right?
Huh?
Wasn't that in Star Wars?
No, it was in The Pick of Destiny.
That was the lightsaber, I think.
No, when Yoda takes him to his planet.
Did Yoda molest Luke?
Wow.
Is that what you're trying to say?
Maybe that was in
Disney. I mean, anything could be in there.
Interspecies erotica here on Free Talk Live. Intergalactic interspecies erotica here on Free Talk.
How did this start?
It's your fault.
I think that was the special edition.
The $1 trillion coin?
The $1 trillion. That's how it all started.
All right.
That's how
it
all
was your
started.
fault because you started talking about the orangutans.
Of course it's my fault. I'm the skipper.
You're looking at the clock.
I'm trying to fill another minute.
Yeah, hit the rollout music, please.
I think I'm out of stuff.
Thanks for having me on tonight, Captain.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for being spot on. Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you, guys. It's been a very fun, shenanigan-filled Free Talk Live.
Thank you, listeners. Again, 7 nights a week. If you missed any part of the program, go over to freetalklive.com and find our archives. Thanks and peace.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money.